your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is.
Enjoy Miami in speed and style. Only on Thriller Miami Speedboat Adventures. Take advantage of special September Florida residence rate. Monday through Friday, you can book a tour on the biggest, baddest speedboat tour at 50% off. Must show Florida ID in order to get the discount. Tour special only available during September. Call 305-373-7001. That's 305-373-7001 to reserve your tickets on Thriller Miami Speedboat Adventures. When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today. 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All right. Yes, welcome aboard on a beautiful Thursday of football. Thursday, right? Because we got in action tonight. We got the Jags and the Bengals tonight. We can talk a little bit about the other football because Inter Miami unfortunately lost yesterday to Atlanta 1-0 on a stupid handball play by LGP. So we've got that to talk about. So lots of football. And of course, we've got the Miami Dolphins getting ready for the Colts. We will definitely talk about that throughout the show. There's different things that we can address on and off the field, too, with the Miami Dolphins that we have no choice now that we have to address. And we'll get to that also on the program. A bunch of things to talk about. A bunch of folks are going to join us today also on the show. Kobe Price, our buddy from the South Florida Sun Sentinel, is going to join us. writer. He will join us at 10:30 to preview the Virginia game tonight. At 11:30, it'll be Joe Shad with our American Dream Lending Miami Dolphins weekly report. So we will talk to Joe Shad around 11:30. And then at 12:30, Michelle Kaufman's going to stop by to recap the disappointing defeat last night, which I think with Inter, it was one of those deals where they went on a run. And listen, it's a long season. Even bad teams have a run. And, I am saying it. Inter is a bad team. They were a bad team before that run. And they've lost now 3 in a row. And these are games that they have to have. This game against Atlanta, they were 8th in the standings. You're 10th. You need to find a way to win as you're coming down the stretch. And, their offense has just been really offensive at times, kind of like Dolphins frustrated with their offense, Canes fans frustrated with their offense, unless they're playing, a high school like they did last week or something like that. And so it just seems like a bad team that had a run, and it was fun, man, because that was a fun run. That was something I didn't even expect them to do. But yesterday, no offense. And even when you had opportunities, you couldn't finish it. And then LGP just commits that blunder in the box. And it was the right call. That's LGP is a guy that hurts you more than he helps you. I was actually telling Alex Winley that yesterday on the show, that with the rumors of them even possibly trying to trade off some of these players and salaries, Lord, man, if they can get rid of LGP, go for it, because that guy is more of a negative more often than not. A lot of stupid plays, and his defense at times is just, it just goes overboard. And yesterday, obviously, it cost him. He committed a really stupid infraction in the box, and they ended up paying for it. So they've got Portland on Sunday on the road at 5:30, the 4th team in the Western Conference with 43 points. So we'll see if Inter somehow can come up with a miracle on the road in Portland. I'll be watching. I'm sure we'll be doing the post-game show, hopefully a happy post-game show from Sports Grill at that time. We'll be deep into the post-game show. It's a 1:00 game. Remember, come on out to Miami Lakes, all right? Don't get queasy now. Don't go Joe Philbin on my ass now, okay? Because they're 1-2 and you're getting all nervous and all that. Let's go. Let's toughen up. This team will bounce back. They put up a hell of an effort this past week and almost should have won that game, actually. They got jobbed by a call and gave away a field goal and a stupid ass safety by Jacoby Brissett. So they should have won that damn game. So don't punk out on these guys. These guys can win this week at 2-2. I know they'll lose to Tampa, but they can beat Jacksonville, the team you'll watch tonight. They can go 3-3 if they get to that point through the first 6 games. Considering everything that's gone on, this is not the time to be bailing out on the Dolphins. This is why it's frustrating to watch so many of you just abandon ship. And you've abandoned whether it's the coach or the general manager or the offensive line or the quarterback or or the offensive play callers or whatever it is that you've abandoned. I find it silly to be abandoning that in this point of the season when there's still a lot of football to be played, a lot to prove. They could be a completely different team 8 to 10 weeks from now. They could be in the heart of a playoff race, and you're going to look back and go, damn, I panicked a little too soon here. I should have given them a chance to kind of, prove themselves. And I think that they're going to go out to prove some people wrong as the season goes on. I'm far from giving up on this season, and I think a lot of you should be the same way. So get your asses down to Miami Lakes. We'll start at 11 a.m. We got all of our insiders for pre and post game. Joe Shad will join us in the pregame. Omar Kelly and Alan Poupar will join us in the post game show after everything is done. So an opportunity for all of you out there to join us, have some great food, whether it's a burger, whether it's delicious wings, a salad, a wrap, whatever. I have the wrap over there all the time. It is absolutely phenomenal. You can have your boneless wings. You can have a cold brew. You can have whatever you want out there and have some fun and join us. And we could talk about the game throughout and all that stuff. And then obviously we'll have an open mic for you too for the post-game show. So if you have any questions, you can walk up. Sean will give you the mic. You can ask your question on air and all the good stuff. So we want to make it one big happy family out there at Sports Grill, because when you're at Sports Grill, it's a happy place to be. Okay, that's just the way it is. So get your asses out there to Miami Lakes and join us, and it should be a lot of fun as the Dolphins hopefully will beat the Indianapolis Colts and hand them a nice big fat loss, which would be a beautiful thing. All right. So we got a lot of things to talk about today on the show. One of the things that obviously I need to address is Jay Glazer. Now, I don't really put a lot of stock on a lot of the reports that have been going on because, look, man, leading up to the draft last year, not this past season, the draft before, there were reports that what's it called? That Chris Greer liked Justin Herbert. And now there are reports that Flores wanted Justin Herbert. You know what I mean? So I have a hard time putting any kind of stock in any of this. And by the way, people were freaking out a year and a half ago when he was liking Justin Herbert because Herbert had that reputation that was going around as a loner, as an introvert, all that stuff. And since you had your introvert already in Ryan Tannehill, they didn't want to go through it again. And so people were up at, I was getting, oh my God, I can't believe he likes Justin Herbert, which it was just a report, which we didn't even know if it was true or not. Just like this one, we don't know if it was true or not. We don't know any of these reports if they're true or not. Okay. But Jay Glazer is a guy that he's to me in football, almost everybody else can get stuff wrong. And people have gotten it wrong. Jay Glazer does not get stuff wrong. He's like the Woj of basketball and football. He's Woj in football and Woj is Woj in basketball. When these guys put out a report, it's money in the bank. And so now he puts out a report that Houston could be softening up their stance on Deshaun Watson. Now, I put all the stock in his report that Houston is softening their stance. If Jay Glazer throws it out there, he's the one guy I don't question. Now, what I will question is, and I've told you this before, I still don't believe the NFL will allow any deal to take place until legal issues are done. They just haven't had to say anything because nothing's happened. And Houston put them on ice. So I want to see how the NFL responds if this report is true by Jay Glazer, which I believe it's true. And if it's true, and then we find out what teams are involved, and if Miami is involved in all these negotiations, I still feel nothing will happen this season. I still think that unless you have legal issues solved before the trading deadline, there is no way anything can happen. Because the NFL, I doubt. Now, the NFL at times has been ignorant in this area, and they have allowed themselves to look terrible in these situations. So whether it's Miami or Philadelphia or any other team that's involved in these kind of negotiations, and I got to tell you, I am not comfortable about all of this because I worry about bringing Deshaun Watson to your team, because you got to remember, if he ends up getting away with it and he did something wrong, all that does is empower these kind of people. All right? Because that's why Harvey Weinstein was probably doing it for decades, because nobody ever found out. No women ever came forward. It continued to empower him. He controlled these people's careers. And if they didn't do this or that, they weren't going to get that part or that whatever, in the future. And so that's what happens to these kind of animals. Okay? Whether it's Cuomo or Clinton or Trump or whatever, any of these kind of people that abuse others and take advantage of their power, the more they get away with it, the more you empower them. And I don't know if he got away with something. I don't know if he didn't do anything. I don't know if it was consensual. I don't know if it was against their own will. I'm not exactly sure. And, people that are abused, you never really get the whole story a lot of times because they're afraid to come forward. They don't want to relive it, especially in public. They already were embarrassed as it is. They don't need to go through it again. You know what I mean? So it's a really difficult situation. So it makes me uncomfortable that you're actually trading for this guy who clearly has problems. Whoever it is, it bothers me that the league would even allow something like this to be, if it's happening. Now, nothing's happening. The only thing reported is that Jay Glazer says they're softening their stance. So they might be willing to listen. Now, remember, this might be something that they want to start laying the groundwork for next year also. It may not be something for this year. It might be something that you're now starting to open up the negotiations to do it next year once the legal issues are done. Maybe that's what Houston is doing. We don't know. And as long as Tua is dealing with injuries, as long as Tua is not performing at the level that people are expecting him to perform, considering he was the 5th pick in the draft, this is going to persist. Whether it's true or not, whether Miami is in on it or not, this is going to persist. And once we're done with the Watson talk, it'll then become the Aaron Rodgers talk. Let's not kid ourselves. So this is all up to Tua now, and what they can do in the front, in the offensive line and everything else. That's the only way this stuff is going to quiet down, because you have a certain section of Dolphin fans that don't want Tua already as it is, that don't believe in Tua already. So they want to move on to the next person, whether it's Watson or Aaron Rodgers. They're already frustrated. They see Justin Herbert putting up stats. They're already sold that Herbert is the guy and that Tua was the failure. You've already got one columnist in town that already wrote the story that the Dolphins have picked the wrong quarterback. And just like Dave Hyde, many others feel the same way. So while this is all going on, that fuels this story. And the sad part about it is it takes away from what's going on the field. And right now it's not good because they're 1-2. But you win this week, and then you split the next 2 games, and you're 3-3, and you get Tua back and you start to play well, maybe you'll quiet all this stuff down. But that's what it's going to take. And for Tua himself, this is part of the process now. You know, you were taken high in the draft. There's a lot expected of you. If you don't live up to it, and I know that there's a portion of Dolphins, oh my God, we're going to end up trading for Watson. He'll end up in jail or in trouble, and Tua will go somewhere else and thrive because he ends up on a team that has an offensive line and a running game, and all of a sudden he can play his game because he's got the pieces that he needs that he didn't have in Miami. So the Dolphin is a battered person. They feel like everything is not going to go their way. That's the Dolphin right now. The Dolphin feels like, well, if we draft Tua, that'll fail. And if we trade for Watson, that'll fail too. And if we trade for Aaron Rodgers, he'll get all of a sudden really old on us. And then that'll fail also because this is what's been happening to us for many, many years now, for decades now. And we have that Dolphin that thinks everything is going to go negative. And it's sad. And I get it because you've been beaten down the last 20 plus years. You haven't won jack shit for nearly 50 years now. I totally understand what the hell's going on in the Dolphin Nation. But there are all these factors that we can't control. We can't control the offensive line. We can't control rumors about Watson. We can't control Tua's injury history or his play. We can't control if it's really too late to trade for Aaron Rodgers at this point. Are you going to give up too much for an older player? Are you going to give up too much to actually help Watson win? Because you're going to have to give up so much in return. And then are you really trading for somebody that still has legal issues and you don't know the end result of those legal issues? Or are you trading for someone after everything's been decided and then you've got to worry about future problems with this player? Because you have to have anyone that trades for Watson, Miami, Philadelphia, you name it, whoever trades for Watson has to have a really uncomfortable conversation with him and talk about his issues and say, hey, you know, do you understand what you did? I don't care if you were found innocent. Do you understand how stupid it was what you did? And then you got to find out if this guy really realizes how stupid he's been. And if he's not, and he's ignorant about it, and he's defiant about it, how do you handle all of that? There's a lot of layers to this story. There's a lot of factors in this story. It's like this big pot it's like this big seafood gumbo pot that's got all kinds of things inside of it in order to make it what it is. And man, there's a lot of things affecting this. There's a lot of things to weigh. There's a lot of risks everywhere. Risk at age with Aaron Rodgers, risk at behavior with Deshaun Watson, risk at injury history with Tua. There's risk everywhere. Whatever direction, Miami's a fork in the road. Do they stay with their course? Do they divert and go somewhere else and go in the direction of Deshaun Watson, proven and still young? Do they go with Aaron Rodgers and say, okay, well, we're close enough on defense that if we add Aaron Rodgers, we have enough to get over the hump and get to a Super Bowl? But we've only got a short window with Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers, by the way, it's not like he isn't flaky either. Maybe not to the stupid extreme of Deshaun Watson. Maybe not to the injury history extreme of Tua, but it's still There's still risk there. So I don't know where this situation goes. Personally, for me, I'm hoping that Tua just gets healthy. I'm hoping that this offensive line improves and plays to the level that can give him some time to play the game and prove that he's worthy of the pick and you don't need to move. Then you can continue to build this thing and that you're headed in the right direction. Because right now, because of the adversity and the speed bumps you've hit right now, it's completely changed the vision for a lot of fans out there. Because there's a lot of you out there that are convinced they're not headed in the right direction. So it's a really screwed up situation. It really is. And none of us really know how this thing's going to end. All right, remember there are multiple ways that you can reach out to us on the program. The text line 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056 if you want to get in on the program. Remember, Cash App or Venmo, you can support our show at Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo. The email, BigORadioShow@yahoo.com. That's BigORadioShow@yahoo.com. Appreciate all of you out there as always for always keeping it locked here on the program. Let's see. K-Jack says, Big O, the future is wide open in 2022. Miami will have almost $80 million in cap space, QB outside O-line, linebacker, wide receiver, DL, etc. We could see a big makeover if needed. Big Drip says Juju on that beat. Big O, let him sleep. Okay. Big Drip always tripping me out with some slang language that I'm not figuring out, but we love you anyway. Let's see. Just play out the season as is. Pick up some veteran O-linemen if possible. Everybody's going to have an opinion on what direction they're going to go in. You hit the nail on the head, Big O. Dolphins are beaten down for the last 20 years. Rebuild after rebuild. We just want to enjoy a winning run, maybe a Super Bowl win. Well, everybody wants a Super Bowl win. I went to visit Cleveland last week. The whole town was brown and orange. I remember the days when Finn's colors were painted everywhere. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's the way it is, isn't it? Alex M says if he settles in court civil, he will be cleared to play. All about the money. Well, he's got to solve the issues first. And you got about a month, right? November 2nd or whatever it is, I think it is. So you're about to start October tomorrow. So you've got a month to clear all these legal hurdles. I don't see that happening. I just don't. Morning to all from Carlos. Did anyone else find that we all gained muscle crap from the heat tiring, whatever? If muscle adds aggressiveness to Bam's game, great. Otherwise, who the hell cares? Okay. All right. Big O, looks like we may have whiffed on Fuller already missing practice with injuries. Well, that's a 1-year deal, dude. It's not a whiff. You know what he is. That's what he is. That's why you did a 1-year deal. So you can try to get something out of nothing, basically. And if he is injury prone, then you can't do anything about it. He is what he is, and he's not going to get his contract. Remember, Fuller is way more motivated than you and I and anybody else. So whatever you're pissed off about with Fuller, he's way more pissed because his career, he'll never get that big contract that he was looking for. So that's the beauty of that deal. That's what I loved about that deal by Chris Greer, that it was just a 1-year deal. You know what he is. He's a sack of injuries. He's always injured. You can't do anything about that. Don't act surprised that Fuller's missing time, is my point. Don't act insulted. Don't act like it's a bad deal. You knew what it was. Don't kid yourselves now. Don't overreact now at this point. This was a prove-it type deal that you sign him to a one-year deal where you don't tie yourself to anything and you have the potential of getting something big out of it. And if you don't, it is what it is. You flush it down the toilet and you move on. That's it. You got to try it. And I don't mind what they tried in the end. It's not like you're not getting a frontline receiver anyways. So it's not like they are available. So you try to get a guy that's got a lot of talent. But if he doesn't stay healthy, that's normal. This is normal for Will Fuller if it is an injury. Now, we'll find out today. Maybe it was precautionary and maybe they're bringing him along slowly after he played. Maybe they just want to make sure, and maybe he practices today. We'll find out. I mean, it's a little early for all of that, but we'll see. But let's not act surprised that he's injured, please. This is who Will Fuller is, dude. This is what he's been throughout his career. This is normal. The abnormal part would have been to have him healthy for a whole year and tear an ass. That would have been the abnormal part. Grand jury is looking at 10 criminal complaints versus Watson, so it's more than civil. Yeah, no, I know. There's civil and there's criminal. And they have to depose him too. And they haven't deposed him yet. So we have it's hard to imagine that all his legal issues. See, some of you out there, you got to get your fan out of your way. You're so excited as a fan, and you're dying to have Watson that you will convince yourselves of the unrealistic. And the unrealistic is to think that all his legal issues are going to be solved by the trading deadline. That's always been unrealistic. And then some of you will then convince yourselves, and you'll come up with some bullshit that you'll like, no, oh yeah, no, but this they could get it done by then, and they could trade for him, and he'll be on the field for the Dolphins, and he'll lead us to the playoffs, and then take us to the Super Bowl, and we'll win the Super Bowl, and that's it, And you come up with all these scenarios, and none of them have any substance. It's like this idiot, what's his name, Wiggins. Well, I'm not taking the shot because I think they're trying to control our population. It's like, okay, where's the proof, dude? Did somebody dissect the vaccine already? Did they find things that are tracing us? Did they find things that are going to control our population in it? Because the vaccine's been all over the world, dude. Do you think that somebody at Johns Hopkins or in the New England Medicine Journal of Medicine or some big time hospital, don't you think they would have gotten that thing and dissected and found out if there's anything in there, magnets or whatever? But people come up with stuff and they invent shit. They invent stuff. They invent excuses. They have no basis, but they invent it. Oh no, they're trying to control our population. Really? Really? So where is it? Where's the proof? This same shit here, man. Same shit here. Some of you just come up with stuff and they'll do it and they'll get it done right before the deadline. And they'll be able to trade them to Miami. Our legal system is slow as hell as it is. We have something called COVID in the middle of the way. Do you think that's going to speed up our court system, or do you think that's going to delay the process of everything that goes on in court? Huh? I mean, it's the same, that's the problem with all of this. Too many of you are unrealistic about this. And you think that it can be solved overnight. These things take forever. And if it was one lawsuit, I'd tell you, okay, it's 22, dude. And then it's the criminal side of it and everything else. And do we know that everything has come forward yet? Do we know that everyone has come forward? Do we know that there's no video involved, no audio involved, no incriminating texts that maybe we haven't seen yet? We don't know. We have no idea. That's why I told you that there is risk in all of this. Staying with Tua is a risk. Trading for an older Rodgers is a risk. Trading for the baggage of Deshaun Watson is a risk. There's risk everywhere. Whatever direction you go in, the battered Dolph fan is going to look at it negatively in one way or another, because that's what I've seen for years and years and years. All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk a little Miami Dolphins. Kobe Price, who does an excellent job of covering the Miami Dolphins on a daily basis for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. He will join us next.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CFs, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
All righty. It's a beautiful thing. Well, I thought that was Kobe Price. There's Kobe Price. There we go. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend that is Kobe Price. Kobe, how you doing, baby?
I'm well. How you doing?
I cannot complain, my friend. Although I trip out on your situation because you were covering a bad football club, and now you're covering a bad football team.
Can't escape it, right? Maybe I'm the problem at the end of the day. Maybe I need to look within myself. Maybe it's not Phil. Maybe it's not Manny. Maybe it's me.
I think your boss looked at you and said, "This is the dysfunction expert here. He was the dysfunction of Inter. Let's give him the dysfunction of Coral Gables, and he'll feel like right in place." Like you figure, look at it this way: the most normal beat you've been on is FAU football, dude. How about that? How freaking awesome is that, huh?
Yeah, when you think about it, it's actually been the most, steady. And even then, I had a coaching change like 3 months into the beat with Lane Kiffin. Yeah. But other than that, everything was steady and smooth.
You got to admit the Lane train was fun, right? I mean, that's one thing that definitely was proven. The Lane train was fun for FAU. So, by the way, follow my man Kobe on Twitter at Kobe_Price, and it's KHOBI. That right. Kobe right there, _Price. And more importantly, check his workout at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. And as I always tell all of you out there, whether it's the Sun Sentinel, the Miami Herald, the Palm Beach Post, subscribe, man, and support our local journalists who work their asses off and do a great job. By the way, reading your stuff, I got to say, and maybe it's just me and just reading into it, you're happy about being on a college football beat. I gather enthusiasm when I see you and your coverage. Like, I know you kind of enjoyed what was doing with Inter, but I kind of it almost feels like you really like covering college football. Am I wrong on this? Because I kind of get it from your coverage.
I think there's also a greater familiarity with college football, at least on my end. I grew up a little bit more around college football as opposed to MLS. Like a lot of, with Inter was like, I was learning so much, and soon I still am like learning so much more so about, the Hurricanes and more so the program specifically. But I think some of the enthusiasm may just be, all right, there are steps that I've already taken just through life, like knowing college football that I may not have to, like Inter Miami. I was so much like, I'm learning like so many like smaller details, but I really enjoyed being on that beat. Like toward the end of it, obviously like right before I stopped the beat, I was having the most fun from like, even though they weren't playing the best, I was having a good time just because I was like, all right, I'm finding a rhythm. And I feel like I probably found that rhythm earlier just because I have a better sense of, or better familiarity with college football. So that may be a reason for that. Yeah.
Because you're doing a great job covering the Canes, and it comes through. So it's just noticeable. But anyway, looks like Manny was insulted by Kirk Herbstreit, huh? And I mean, listen, we've been talking about that on our show for a while now.
Oh yeah,
this administration. Yeah, this is nothing new. Herbstreit just brought it and threw gas on the fire, and now it became kind of a California wildfire now that's spreading all over, and basically, but I think it took it to another level now because I think that Manny understands how much damage that can do nationwide, especially for him on the recruiting side.
Absolutely. I mean, he I guess I need to paint the picture better. He said all that on his own. Nobody asked him about this. He went on a 5.5, 6.5 minute straight, what you want to call a rant, talking point, whatever. That was all on his own. So clearly it struck a chord with him or maybe the administration, the athletic department, whoever. They have ears. They're bothered when, one of the most prominent national college football analysts goes on a minute and a half saying like this is everything that's wrong. The administration doesn't care. The university doesn't care. Nobody cares. And for Manny, it's like, hold on a second. We care. We just don't have it. Just because we don't have it figured out doesn't mean we don't care. So I think that's more his figure. And we're on the process of getting it figured out. That was his point. But yeah, they're bothered by this. And I think Manny's like, oh shoot, we can't. His big thing is we can't scare off recruits because to him that's the way they're going to get out of this. Just recruiting better, bring in better guys. Bring in better coaches. I think it's also not just recruiting players.
Yeah, you got to develop those players. You got to coach them up. You know, when Amari Carter last year is continuing to headhunt and you don't stop it, that's coaching, dude. I mean, I watch Flo on the other side, and I know lately they've committed some penalties more than normal, but normally his teams are pretty disciplined. That's coaching. You know what I mean? I don't see discipline from the University of Miami, and that has nothing to do with you being a 1-star or a 5-star when it's all said and done. If you know how to coach, you're going to make everybody better no matter what kind of talent that they possess. And that's the problem I see with Manny, that he doesn't make them better. That's it doesn't matter the stars. I'm just watching the players, period.
And to me, the thing is also that, right now there's been a whole lot of debate about the veteran players versus the young players. Should the veteran guys get more time versus the young guys get more time? Because the young guys supposed to have this untapped talent, this untapped potential, this, highly a lot of talent. It's not like the veteran players from, the 17, 18, 19, like those recruiting classes, they weren't those were highly, ranked classes.
Yeah.
They just didn't pan out. Some of them obviously did pan out, and some of them are in the league, of course. But some of them just didn't pan out in the way that you were hoping for. And that comes back to what you're saying, developing of talent. It's great you can have all the stars you want. You can have all the 4 stars, get a couple 5 stars. And obviously that gives you a better edge against competition. The more 5 stars, the better. Talent is talent. Usually at the end of the day, it's going to develop on their own. But some of the guys just need to be developed better than they have. And that's the key that feels like it's sometimes missing. Maybe that's why, Manny's like, to his credit, the coaching staff has changed pretty fluidly since he took over the top spot. So maybe he feels like that's another area that can develop, but that's the key to me. It's not, you're bringing in talent. Now it's like, what do you do about that talent? Does that talent stay? Does that talent go to a level that it wasn't expected to when you brought them in?
And that's that leads me to this part of the conversation. One, I'm fearful for the program that the transfer portal is going to be pretty active if they have a bad year, obviously, with the current guys that you have in. And then on a night like tonight, you've got recruits in the building also that you're trying to convince. And the crowd isn't going to be a good crowd tonight for Virginia. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Virginia brings a crowd that you can actually hear in there, because there'll be a couple thousand, 1,000 or 2,000 Virginia fans, and you might be able to hear them in that building because it's not going to be so full with Canes fans. So the atmosphere is also something that will turn off some of these recruits because, you're reading that these recruits could, they're going to Georgia and visiting other places. And when they go to those other places, those places are packed. And they see a rabid fan base and they see great support and all that stuff. And they don't have that here. And in the end, they can point fingers at everybody else. They got to look in the mirror. That's the reason they don't have the same kind of buzz, because they haven't created it. How much are you concerned? Well, you shouldn't be concerned because you're the writer. But I mean, how concerned should Canes fans be that this portal could be opened in all the wrong ways this offseason?
Well, before I answer, I want to ask, kind of touch on what you mentioned before with the recruits. Think about it. This is going to be the fourth home game in a row in Miami Gardens. Depending on tonight's result, they're either going to go, 2-1 or 3-1 in that time. And obviously the win over Central Connecticut State, that is what it is. That's the program that it is. You have a bad loss to Michigan State, and then you have a very, if you want to call anything a bad win, a not so great win against App State.
An unimpressive win against App State.
Precisely. And I've talked to a couple of recruits who I've asked them just straight up, like, how does this affect your recruitment, et cetera? Like, some teams have got some bad starts, but and some of them are like, I want to see how they finish. We got to see like how this plays out. To their credit, they're saying that they may be thinking, oh shoot, this is not the program that I thought it was going to be. But I think some of them are taking the long road, like this team. And for some of them, they're high schoolers. They may have, had bad starts to their own seasons and be like, we can play it out. The transfer portal, I think what's going to really determine that is just the long game. How do they finish? And also who winds up, like, more so the veteran players, who winds up staying?
Right.
Like whether it's, some guys try to go to the league, or maybe some of the young guys are like, as the season goes on, they start to, take more and more. Like we saw James Williams get listed as a co-starter for tonight's game versus Virginia over with Gervin Hall. We're starting to see, some of the younger receivers start to get a little bit more playing time here and there. Maybe some of the older guys see the writing on the wall and say, if I came back here in 2022, I may not get the reps that I want to do X, Y, and Z, whether that's the showcase for myself for potentially being drafted, or just have the senior year I was hoping for. So it could go, some of the young guys get frustrated with the lack of playing time, or, the young guys start grabbing that playing time. My older guys like, look, I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z with my other, year or two left in my career.
Kobe Price joining us. Remember, you can follow him on Twitter at Kobe_Price. I would imagine King out, Van Dyke in. Is that what's going to happen tonight? Is that what you're expecting?
That's my expectation. I haven't gotten an official word on it, but as of right now, my expectation is that Derek's not going to play. After the game against Michigan State, he had the brace on. Last weekend against Central Connecticut, he didn't have it on. Manny said he's moving around a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure what that means. This is an upper body injury. I would imagine he can still run and whatnot. But also another thing that I wish I asked Manny is why, like, if Derek doesn't play tonight, he can get 16 days off until the next game. 16 days of not getting hit, 16 extra days of being evaluated more, because you don't play North Carolina until October 16th in North Carolina. So I would imagine that's also part of the equation. Obviously, it's the ACC opener. You want to start off strong, but also we have 7 more conference games. If we can get Derek healthy for 7 of them, just give him an extra 2 weeks rest, then I would imagine that goes into the equation. And you also may see Jake Garcia come in the game, depending on how Tyler does and if they have a game plan of playing them both.
By the way, their QB, Brennan Armstrong, he takes care of the football. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's been, one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. And that's going to be big for Miami, just be able to find a way to get to him, whether it's just containing through the edges or blitz packages, just because you can't let him sit back and just throw the ball around, just have all the time in the world, because he will burn the Canes if you have that opportunity, if he has the opportunity.
13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So the kid, obviously, 4-to-1 ratio. That's pretty good. Now, while he's good, Virginia's not, right? I mean, so this is a game that it's a winnable game for Miami. I mean, hell, the Vegas has them favored by almost a touchdown. So they obviously feel that they're, 5.5, 6.5? What is it?
Last time I checked, it was 5.5.
5.5. So, you got them almost at a touchdown there overall. So they feel that they could win. What do you see in Virginia that Miami could take advantage?
Well, Virginia's defense has just been awful. Completely awful. I think they've allowed 96 points in the last 2 games, over 1,000 yards combined. This is a game that, regardless of who's at the quarterback, whether it's Derek, who I'm not expecting to play, but just throw him in there, Jake, Tyler, Cam Harris has to come alive. Just because I think this is the kind of defense that they could take advantage of from a running standpoint and just get those yards, just get those yards and be a more efficient team in the red zone and just be able to punch touchdowns in a way they really haven't outside of last weekend. Once you get inside, the other team's 20, other team's 25. This is a game where I think they can take advantage of the run defense and just control the tempo, control the rhythm of the game.
When I look at the struggles with the team, I'm not necessarily surprised because I don't really have a lot of hope for Manny. I got to be honest, Kobe. He just after, I was all pumped up about getting him from Temple, and I thought it was the right guy. After the first year, it was such a turnoff that I have just not been a Manny believer. But I thought Rhett Lashley actually had a little something to him on the offensive side. This year has not been very impressive for Rhett Lashley. And when I look at Will Mallory, who should be one of your better weapons, and we were kind of expecting a better year out of him, I don't see that either. So kind of a two-part question. What's going on offensively in your eyes with what you see with Rhett? And then on the flip side, what is it that's going on that Mallory isn't a bigger part and having more success?
Some of it with Mallory, some of it's on him, to be honest. Like, he's had a couple of just crucial drops. He had that one drop, easy touchdown right there on the money, and you just drop it. And I know that's the biggest drop, but he's had other drops during the season. And I'm not sure if that's been, whether it's a confidence thing or whatnot, but he's also just been targeted less. Like, I think since that one play, he just hasn't been targeted. He didn't have a catch at all against Central Connecticut State. And that Central Connecticut State, that's the game where, everybody gets some numbers. So I don't know if it's a confidence thing, but they just have not been able to really key in on their tight ends. And it's also been the same for Elijah Arroyo for the most part. Like, tight ends have almost been a non-factor when it comes to the passing game with Miami. In terms of Rhett and the offense, some of it is, the offensive line hasn't gotten itself together. Like, tonight's going to be the fifth game. So
after all that talk about the experience of the line and all that, but in the end, we should have seen it coming, right, Kobe? Because you haven't really performed at a high level. So all of a sudden, that one off season, we add all this experience that you're supposed to become really good players. I mean, that's just. It's kind of like waiting for Navon Donaldson to wake up after 87 years being in the program, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have experience, but the experience also has to perform, and it just hasn't. And it's also, they lost, losing Jalen Rivers obviously hurts because he has been one of their, I guess, better performing, at least how they saw it, better performing offensive linemen. But they just had too many changes, and not enough performance from the guys who have been there. So not having a good offensive line, it's just going to make things a lot tougher. It hurts the run game. You can see it. De'Eric had a shaky start to the season himself. Even in the App State game that they won, he had a little shaky start. So nothing's been clicking. Nothing's been able to click. If they are able to establish the offensive line, it doesn't have to be, and you lose Jalen Rivers. So it's not going to be your best unit, but just show that you can provide some push. Just be able to, turn a 1 yard run from Cam Harris into a 4 yard run, a 4 yard. And so and then another guy, Cam Harris, just has to get downhill better because a lot of things haven't been clicking. I've liked the wide receivers outside of the drops. They do seem to have a lot of talent and a little bit of, I guess, wiggle to them. Yeah. But there needs to be a little bit more, get the yards after the catch. Not just, all right, I have the catch and now I'm down in like 3 yards. Be able to wiggle around some tackles, break some tackles, and just get for it. So there's just a whole lot not clicking right now from multiple different positions.
Oh, Brinson made one hell of a catch last week. Damn, that was one of the greatest catches I've ever seen in my life, period. Not just this season or whatever, or not just college, just one of the greatest catches I've ever seen in the end zone. That was just absolutely awesome. All right, what's your prediction, Doggy? What happens tonight? Does Miami win, or are you predicting an ugly upset here?
Yeah, I think Miami wins.
Or is it an upset? I don't even know.
Yeah, if Virginia won, I don't think it'd be an upset. Miami is not good enough right now to be to lose a game and be considered an upset. Let's just say that.
Right.
But I think they're going to win tonight. My prediction, I think, was 27-26. Virginia always has played Miami tough the past few years. Just really close games.
Yes.
I know that Virginia's deep. This is the kind of year that you may think, Miami's offense should be able to explode because Virginia's defense is just not it right now. However, I do think Virginia has enough to offensively to just keep up this is actually going to probably be one of the highest scoring games in recent history between the two programs. It's always stayed below the 20s, but I think this is going to they're going to get above the 20s, get closer to the 30s. But I think Miami will pull it out just barely. And I can feel it now. Canes fans probably aren't going to feel great about the win, but they're going to get the win. That's how I see it.
Well, listen, as long as they win, I'll be happy with that. Another loss, and it's just frustrating as hell. All right, follow my man Kobe. If you are a Canes fan, he does an excellent job for the South Florida Sun Sentinel at Kobe_Price. Kobe, as always, thank you, my brother. I appreciate you immensely.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
You got it.
When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee, and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today. 786-802-1727. Or online at adreamlending.com.
It's a beautiful thing. We thank Kobe Price for joining us here on the program. Talk a little Canes as always. Don't forget to support our friends at Pallet Rack City. If you own a business and a warehouse and you need to get everything in order, there is no better way than to call my friends at Pallet Rack City, 305 and 424-8547. You can call that number. You can call the one that's there too, 887-9212. Multiple numbers. Pallet Rack City, Eddie Pereira, great people. They know how to get it done, man. So trust me, call those folks. They are the best in the business. And we thank Kobe. I know somebody's saying Andy Breakstone saying Mallory's not that good, Big O. I do watch the games. He hasn't played well. It doesn't mean I've watched guys underperform here, man, and then leave and perform better at the next level. That's my problem with all of this. And Mallory does have talent. So I kind of question it where maybe it's not him. Maybe it's what's going on around him, those kind of things. So you never know. Greg Olsen was an underachiever here, and he's a Hall of Famer in the NFL. He wasn't a college football Hall of Famer, but he was in the NFL. I mean, that's just the way it is. Some guys are like that, man. And I just wonder some of the stuff that went on during the Shannon to Golden era, that there were players that underachieved at the U and then went on to the next level, like Sam Shields, and became pretty damn good players overall. And it happened several times at the U. And I worry about that again with some of these coaches, that they're not getting the max out of these guys. So that's why I kind of question it. You might be right. Maybe Mallory's not that good. But I also don't trust the environment that he's in for any of these players, that they're maximizing those guys. I got to be honest. That's something that I think about, because it's happened here before, and you just wonder if it's going to happen again, where we're going to see some of these guys slip through the cracks, and they weren't that good at the U, but then they go to the NFL and they start actually, playing at a higher level, and you're like, well, wait a minute, where was that here? And maybe it's not their fault. So I'm just saying, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the year finishes out for Mallory. And then if he does get drafted, does he go to the NFL, and does he play better in the NFL than he did here? Let's see. Donaldson, the largest football player on earth. If you're a fifth-year starter in college, you're not a good player. Good players get drafted after their third. You're right. Usually the good players are going to be gone usually by that point. And if you're a fifth-year starter, unless you had a bunch of injuries and you were a good player and you never really, got your opportunity to shine, and then your fifth year is your healthy year and you're able to shine, that's happened too also. There have been players that have had injury history, and then towards the end of their careers in college, they finally got healthy and they were able to have, good seasons and kind of close out their careers. I've seen that too. So it can work in many different ways. Remember, you can reach out to us on the text line, 855-912-1056. Very important to smash the hell out of that like button. All right? 855-912-1056, the text line. Smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell. That way you know when we're on the air. You get the notification, and you know that a new segment's been put up, an interview, the show is on the air, all those things. You get the notification bell. Remember, you can make a donation to the program through Cash App or Venmo. The address is Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. If you want to make a donation to the program, Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo. Let's see. What else do we have here? Marlins defeat the Mutts 3-2. Hernandez went 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 Ks. For the kid, they're 65-93. They snap their 7-game losing streak. Good for the Marlins. I know you all don't care. Edward Cabrera will be on the mound tonight. 0-3 and a 6.79 ERA. We got football tonight. We got Virginia and UM. I'm not going, unlike the Michigan State game that was like a layup, and I took Michigan State, and I hate going against my team and all of that, but it's just, I have no faith in Manny Diaz, and I felt like, I think they were favored by like a touchdown, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Who the hell is the University of Miami to give anybody a touchdown? They're favored by Virginia by 5.5. You know, there's a part of me that says, take Virginia, because all I hear is that Virginia isn't that good, and something tells me that we're going to get the best of Virginia tonight, because Virginia walks into this game going, hey, guys, we can win this game. And what Kobe said also is correct. They are notorious for giving Miami trouble. All the time. Virginia is a pain in the ass for Miami a lot of times. 5.5. Well, all right, we got plenty of people on the chat board right now, or you can send it in on the text line. If you had money and you could gamble, okay, 5.5 points. Are you laying the 5.5 points for the Canes, or are you taking the 5.5 points for Virginia? What would you do? All right, I'm giving you $100. You have to bet it on this game. You have to make a decision. You either are laying the 5.5 or you're taking the 5.5. Give me your answer right now on the YouTube chat board. Give me your answer on Twitter at Big O Show. Give me your answer on the text line at 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. I want to see what you guys are thinking. What kind of confidence do you have in the University of Miami? Dola says he's taking the points. Irving Figueroa, thank you, sir. A little love on the super chat. Thank you. Alex Diaz coming in strong on the super chat. He says, oh, it's the Mets, not the Mutts. Such a hater, LOL. We are going to turn this thing around, and we will make the playoffs. Oh, fins up. I'm with you, Alex. I'm with you, bro. I got faith. I got faith in Flo and this team. I'm not giving up on these guys. I refuse to do that. I'm not with some of you Dolph fans out there that have given up on Tua and the line and the coach and the front office, and I'm not doing that. Are they perfect? No. I don't expect them to be perfect. They are human beings. Virginia and money line. Holy crap. On the text line, I just got Virginia and money line. That is awesome. And that's NorCal with Virginia and the money line. Let's see. Isaiah Ford going to the game. Probably he's a Cavalier taking the 5, Rich V says. NorCal, he says, I can gamble. I'm taking Virginia, like I told you. Alex Diaz says, hater. Rich V says, taking the 5. Jay Gelfin, Canes. He's laying the 5.5. Damn, Jay, you are a brave man. Ian from Brooklyn is taking it. Let's see. Diaz is taking the 5.5. It's 5.5. You got to take that half because they got to beat you by 6, dude. Taking the money line. And Virginia, Big Drip says take 5. Yeah. Ab says breakfast sandwich, egg, bacon, sausage, cheese. Yeah. Carlos reminds everybody to hit the like button. That is so true. Helps the algorithms. Puts us up there in the search engines. Very important. You smash the hell out of that like button. Dougie Fresh says, oh, what's the odds that the U does something common like tackle someone and then someone puts on that idiotic turnover chain? Well, I hope they actually put on that stupid chain a couple times so that way they do pick up a couple turnovers. I think it's so embarrassing when you're a crappy team that you're using those gimmicks. You know, Irvin Figueroa says, yeah, pancakes and French toast are the best. I love French toast. Oh, God. So dangerous. I'm so lucky that my wife really isn't a cook. Because if she was a cook, I'd weigh 450 pounds. Because I'd have her make me French toast like all the time. Like I'm the one that I have to make the French toast. So, I don't feel like making French toast. It takes forever. I don't feel like doing it. Making the batter and all that crap. You know what pisses me off most about French toasts to make them at home is that it's impossible to find the thick-ass bread. That's the thing. That's the key that I want for French toast at home. Find the thick-ass bread. Where do you get the thick-ass bread? Huh? In South Florida, where can I get the thick-ass bread for French toast? Because you can use the regular bread, but they come out so skinny, man. I like those big, thick chunks of bread. Where the hell do you get that thing? Carlos says, I'll take Virginia, period. Let's see, what else do we have here? Zytonium Nyborg says, I'll take Virginia, and if it's a winner, take winnings and invest in crypto. There we go. Big O, who has been the most mediocre football program the past 25 years, Dolphins or Hurricanes? Oh, Dolphins. Hurricanes won a championship in 2001, dude. So, yeah, that's not even close. Dolphins haven't done anything in 40, 50 years. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 73, man. It's been a long time. Texas toast. My wife is weird. She hates French toast. Wow, how can you hate French toast? You can get good bread at Panera. They have they sell like bread at Panera? I thought that was like a place where you got food that was cooked already. They sell loaves of bread, the thick-ass chunks at Panera. They do that? I had no idea. I don't really go to Panera, so I wouldn't know. Although I will say this, years ago, I did go to the Panera here on Kendall Drive because they used to make an apple pie, like an apple turnover, and it was the best. They stopped making it, and so that's it. That's the only reason I would go to Panera, because somebody brought me one day, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Where's this from? And it was Panera, and I was like, oh wow. So I would stop at Panera for that, and now that I did remember that, but that was several years ago. It's kind of like Norman Brothers now closing down. Sucks so badly because they had the best oatmeal cookies on the planet. They would bake those oatmeal cookies every day. I mean, they'd bake all kinds of stuff, but their oatmeal raisin cookies were to die for. Oh, so good. Peg bread. I think Fresh Market. You can get good bread at Panera. Texas toast. The bakery at Publix. Man, I've been to Publix. I don't see that thick-ass bread in Publix. I never see it. Gelfin says you have to have it sliced thick at the bakery, especially the challah bread. Oh, I get it. So they get the whole loaf. So they bake the whole loaf, and then you tell them to cut it thick. Interesting. So wait a minute. Are you telling me Publix does that? That at Publix they get the whole, like they bake the whole loaf, and then you make them cut it thick. Am I understanding this correctly? That is awesome. I did not know you can do that. That's strong. They have the thick sliced bread at Publix. Not sure about that. I know that they don't have it packaged because I've gone through that whole row, and I know it's a big ass row of breads, and I never see it there ever. But if you guys are telling me that in the bakery part they bake the whole loaf and then you have them cut it your way, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different ballgame. French cut it deep. Rye bread is kosher, right? Fuller has missed 29 of 83 possible games during his 6-year career due to injury or suspension. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. And then we get the Love Public subs. Do you ever make French toast using raisin bread? Damn good. No, I've never done that. But I don't know how I would like the raisin bread with the syrup and all that. I would just like to have, once in a while be able to buy that thick ass toast so I can, because those are the best French toast. When when you can make it with the thick bread. I know how to make the damn batter, but you gotta have that thick bread. That's the best with the whole thing. I'm with you. I want the thick bread, says Bones. Hells to the yeah, man. Hells to the yeah. So they do it at Publix, says Jay. Okay. All this food talk is killing a stoner, says NorCal. Well, all I can tell you is smoke again, buddy. Do you think Gesicki is back with the Dolphins next year? Steven, that's a phenomenal question, and I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. You have a lot of money. Sign your own guy. Hunter Long is not doing anything right now to assure you that he can take over. He needs experience. And so far, he hasn't gotten the experience you need to feel good about parting ways with Gesicki. Plus, you're seeing that the Fuller thing isn't working out right now. You know what? Let me not say that. Let's see what happens today. Because if he is injured this week, then we know it's a problem. Because maybe he's back on the field today and it was just a precautionary thing. So let's not overreact on it. But if the Fuller thing isn't working out, you need to have weapons, man. And an impactful tight end is so important to your quarterback. So you got to make sure you bring your tight end back, and you better improve that offensive line. Some of these young guys have to come through this year. They have to turn the corner. You have to feel better about at least 2 of these guys. If you don't feel good about 2 of the 5, then you have failed. You got to hit on 2 to 3 of these guys. Can't hit on 1 or none. That can't happen. You can't completely whiff. So things have to develop here. But as for Gesicki, hell yeah, man. You got to bring him back. It's not like you owe a ton of people money that you have to pay. Gesicki's one of the few. Or you tag him for a year. And you buy yourself some time. Buy the artesian bread from the grocery store. If it's not thick for French toast, I don't want it. French toast with sour bread via yeasting and fermenting is excellent. Put some powder and maple syrup and voila. Ronnie says, I would like to have both my legs when I'm 60, so I'll pass on French toast raisin bread. Bus now loading for Houston. Yup. Alphabetic order. Yup. Baker, etc. That's big drip, baby. with a language all his own. Why is Greer so hesitant to sign a veteran to help these young guys? Russell Coombe, Forrest Lamp, bring back DJ Fluker. Fluker is not healthy enough yet. Put out a video. They can't sign him, I think, till after week 6, I believe, because they released him. So there's a rule where they can't deal with him yet, and he's not healthy yet. Maybe they have something in place, like a wink deal with him, like, hey, when you get healthy, we'll bring you back. We're ready to go and all that kind of stuff. So you never know. And maybe they also want to develop their young guys, because that's what I'm thinking with the whole Flowers thing and all that. They probably felt, no, we need to turn the page and we need to go young so we can find out about these guys. And if you play the veterans, you never find out about your rookies, whether they're playing or not. And as I told you yesterday, example A is Noah Igbenogany. You can't find out about Noah because you're not benching Jones or X, and that's what he is, an outside guy. He's not a slot guy. So what do? You can't play him. You drafted him, and you can't play him. Doesn't matter if he's in there as a backup and he gets a couple of snaps. That's no big deal. He needs to he's so raw. He needs to learn the position. He has to play and make mistakes and grow from it, and he has no shot at doing it. So if you do bring in Russell Kuhn, I understand you got to protect your quarterback, no doubt, but you also will stump any kind of progress that you could possibly make with the young linemen. And that's the problem, I think. I think that's why, whether it's not working out, but I think that's the plan on why they didn't stick with some of the veterans. And they said, all right, we're going to go with young because we've got to find out about our young guys. We drafted them. Let's find out about them. And so this is where they screwed up. This is where their understanding is. This is what their philosophy was, right or wrong. It has not worked out because obviously the young guys, including your journeymen, got your quarterback injured. So we can agree or disagree with it. I understand all of that, but I think that's what their thinking is. That, well, I know we could go get a veteran, but then we won't find out about our young guy. And I think that's the problem. So, and this was their best performance this week. So you wonder, can they get better from what they did and start to improve? And we shall find out, ladies and gentlemen. I get it. It's all frustrating right now. Big O, would you re-sign Emmanuel Ogbah? Think Jalen Phillips needs more time? I'm not re-signing Ogbah yet. He's not getting any sacks. He's got to get sacks, dude. He got 9 sacks last year for the first time in his career. I'm pretty consistent about this, and we were talking about this yesterday, that you want to see players do well, and it's nice if they put up some stats, but I need you to do it again, because that's when you prove that you're the guy now, that you actually can do it every year. There's a lot of guys that have a good year, and there's so many of them that can't follow it up with another good year or even better than that one. And that's when you find out, when you've never had success and you finally break through, you need to go out and do it again, at least in my eyes, before I believe that you re-sign him. So right now, Emmanuel Ogbah is working on not getting re-signed. You know, close is nice, but it doesn't count in the NFL. I mean, it's important to have some hurries and stuff like that. I get all of that, but he's got to get sacks. He has to get sacks, man. It's the bottom line. All right, 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. If you want to get in on the program, of course, you can reach out to us on Twitter. That's at Big O Show. The email, bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. That's bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. On the text line, let me see what we got here. Good morning, Big O. I'm tired of the so-called Dolphins fan I've been a Dolphin fan all my life. You can call me a blind ass fan. I'm going to be 43 years old. I'm a man, no matter if the Dolphins are 0-17 or 17-0. I love my Dolphins for life. John Santos from Stewart's. Well, I'm with you, my brother. I got nothing but love for the Dolphins, win or lose. It's frustrating, but I'm with you there. Wake and Bake says, take two and call me when you wake up, LOL. Look at it. He's got a batter going on there. Oh, dude, those are brownies. Look at him. Look at him. He sends me pictures of brownies. And you know, if NorCal's making brownies, he's making those special brownies. You know the kind of brownies that'll make you smile when you're done? Those kind of brownies. Happy Thursday again, Big O. Another beautiful day on Fort Lauderdale Beach. Listening to you right now. I heard rumors we were wearing throwbacks this weekend. Well, I mean, with the Dolphin players coming back to celebrate the life of Shula, which is so cool, I wouldn't be surprised. Texas Toast. It comes in a package labeled Texas Toast. Yes, but where? Where can you get the Texas Toast? Because I'd never see it in Publix. I disagree on Noah. He's not even dominating with the 2s or 3s, so he hasn't shown anything to suggest he's even close to being worthy of playing with the first team. He can't play with the first team anyway. Do you understand that? That's nothing to do with what you feel. He doesn't play. You don't see him. You don't know. And he, of course, is not ready, but he needs playing time in order to be ready, and he cannot play. So it doesn't really matter. He was active this week, but he's not gonna do much because the two guys in front of him are guys that you're not gonna bench. And that's the screwed up part. Doesn't mean that he can't get better, but he's not getting any playing time. It's hard to ever improve if you don't get any experience. It's impossible to improve in anything in life if you're not getting experience. AJ says, I think they planned on replacing X with Ig, but I don't think they wanted to pay X, but Noah was so bad they had no choice. You could be right. Or it could be that maybe they trade him after this offseason. Either way, the plan is not working out. That's all. Okay? Either you overdrafted because you were worried about X's problems and knee, because at the moment that you drafted him, he had the offseason with the domestic issue and the knee. So you drafted Noah as an insurance policy. So he comes back and he balls out. And then Jones had a little bit of an injury. He missed a couple games. Noah did not play well at all, obviously, but that's been his only real playing time he's had. Then fast forward to this season, your two corners are healthy. They're playing. He doesn't get any playing time. So the kid's only played a couple of games. And remember, he's not a true safety. I mean, a true corner. He's a wide receiver. So he needs a lot of reps, a lot of experience. He has to go through a lot of ups and downs in order to find out if he can play or not. That's the problem. And the plan that they had, maybe they were protecting themselves a year and a half ago when they drafted him, but now it's kind of blown up in their faces, unfortunately, because they can't find him the playing time to develop him. And he could end up becoming a really good player, but you'll never find out if he doesn't get any reps. And he'll never get to that point if he doesn't get any reps. It's a screwed up situation. It really is. It's tough. It's tough on Noah. It's tough on the team. You know, they were trying to be forward thinking on it, and it just hasn't worked out for them. Put your turnover chain on as Kroger sells badass Texas toast. P.S. Please post picture of you eating Texas toast wearing a turnover chain. I love it. Yeah, but we don't have a Kroger here. We don't have Krogers in South Florida. That's not a thing here in South Florida. That's the only problem. Publix is our thing.
We have Winn-Dixies still. We have Sedanos. But I don't think any of them have the net. Now, the guys are telling me that you can get the whole loaf at Publix and then have them slice it the way you want it sliced. If that's the case, then that's the way I can get my Texas toast. People complaining about Noah, but look at the CBs drafted ahead of him and behind him. Jeff 2 years back on major injuries. CJ traded to another team, gladly out of the league. I mean, but that doesn't, that, somebody else's failures or somebody else's struggles are not going to make you feel any better, my man, about your own struggles and your own failures and those kind of things. And I know that they were trying to be forward thinking, going, hey, we don't know what's going on with X. Let's draft this kid. And then everything's worked out so far, right? X hasn't gotten in trouble again. He hasn't had any setbacks with the knee. So things have gone well. And then you haven't been able to develop the kid. So now it becomes a bust of a pick for you when it's really not a bust, but that's the way it's going to be viewed. It's just going to be viewed that way because you didn't get to develop them. And so you're spending a first-round pick on absolutely nothing right now. Maybe next year they part ways with one of those two guys. And they say, okay, we got to throw him in there, and we've got to develop him. And hopefully with Javon Holland being an experienced safety by next year, maybe that's what they feel like. Okay, well, we'll have Javon cheat over to help him out constantly until he kind of finds his way. Jerry S. says, love the new show. Do the same rule applies about the Marlins and their 92 losses this season? I don't know what do you mean by that, sir? Are you talking about same rules like back in the day that I wouldn't talk about the Marlins, that I banned the Marlins? Is that what you're talking about? Loria is gone. I no longer ban the Marlins. If that's what you're talking about, you might, it sounds like you found us again. You didn't know we were doing this every day. And so you haven't heard the show in a while. And back in the day, I banned the Marlins. No Marlins talk, no baseball on the show at all. Marlins baseball because of Jeffrey Loria. If that's what you were talking about, not sure. If that's what you're talking about, no. We have lifted. Once he sold the team to Jeter, we lifted the ban. And we'll talk about Marlins. Now, not that there really is any Marlins talk. Not that anybody cares about the Marlins. Not that people chime in about the Marlins or ask questions about the Marlins. But I still have people come on. We still talk about the Marlins. Now, right now, there's nothing to talk about. But if that's what you're talking about, sir, we no longer ban the Marlins. Okay? We are rooting for the Marlins. We want them to succeed. We just need them to spend some money now. They've got the pitchers. Start spending money. Willie says, Big O, when is it that the free agent deadline ends? You talk about the trading deadline for the NFL? I think it's in early November, sir, like the 4th or the 5th or the 6th. I can look it up for you. NFL, I think that's what you're talking about, right? NFL trading deadline. I can look it up real quick here. I can walk and chew gums. Chew gums sometimes. NFL trading deadline 2021. Let's put it that. November 2nd. Tuesday, November 2nd at 4 p.m., sir, is the NFL trading deadline. Okay? What else do we have here? Iggy is developing. He just hasn't played because the position of each game. Let's just say we're winning and up by 20 points, then he'll play. It's because all the games are close, so the starters have to be in. Yeah, but, I mean, that's where the plan backfires on you because you're into year 2. And you're only 3 games in, but you haven't had an opportunity to really develop the kid. Sucks. Noah is a cover 3 zone type of corner They had him doing much chasing around the field, and he wasn't doing that in college. He's got to learn everything at this level, but they must feel that he is a excellent athlete that will be able to make that adjustment. I heard the Marlins farm system is top notch, isn't it? Isn't it always top notch? I always hear about every accomplishment in the minors. Just want some accomplishments in the majors. It is called Major League Baseball. You know what I'm saying? Not minor league baseball. That's the problem. Oh, man. All right. At 11:30, by the way, Joe Shad from the Palm Beach Post, one of our fantastic insiders with our American Dream Lending Miami Dolphins weekly report. And by the way, call my man Shams. Call Eves Sham. By the way, he will take care of you. Eves is great people, man. You are going to love Eves. They know how to get it done. They have been at this for a long, long time. So if you're looking to buy a home or a condo or you want to redo your mortgage, we're down in the low twos now. 305-992-5218. That's 305-992-5218. That is Eve's cell number. So you've got the owner's personal cell number at AmericanDreamLending.com, and make sure you mention our name. They will definitely take care of you. Chip Brown says Miami will go on a run this season. Just don't know when Flo's system always starts to slow, finishes relatively strong, except for last year. Well, no, what do you mean last year? They lost their first two games. Just because they lost the last game, they were 10-4 in their final 14 games. That's strong, man. You only lose 4 of 14? It's pretty good, man. I get it. They lost to Buffalo. They got their asses kicked. All right, they're not better than Buffalo. They weren't supposed to be better than Buffalo. But doesn't mean you ended weak. You're 10-4, man. You won 10 of your last 14 games? Super strong is what that is. That's all. Big O, I think you're right on the spot with Justin Coleman. He's overrated. Yeah, that's where, and that's a flow thing, you can tell. All these, when you see an ex-New England guy on there, that's all flow telling Chris, hey, no, I want this guy. I know him. He fits my system. He knows what I want, this, that. And that's why they brought him in. That's it. Marlins could become just as good as Tampa with their farm system. Brother, when I see that, then I'll believe it. And then I'll be even more frustrated, just like with Tampa. Because if Tampa and Oakland A's actually spent a little money, they would win a title. Obviously, they have the baseball people to find the teams. They got good players. They end up making the playoffs, sometimes even make deep runs. You know what would make you get over the hump? Spend a little money. That's what would happen. I mean, Tampa does a good job of screwing itself over on a consistent basis because they're really good. And can you imagine if they actually spent some money? They would actually be champions. Wow, what a shocker. That's my problem with Tampa and Oakland, is that they have figured out how to build a team. They just don't know how to actually finish it and win a championship. That's their problem. DJ Brian Schlack says every team gets blown out once a year. We didn't until the last game last year. Hopefully, we got it out of our way in week 2 this year. I hope so. I'd rather see a trade for Taylor Decker before a trade for Watson. Oakland A's will follow the Raiders out to Alameda County. Yeah, they probably will go to Vegas. That makes a lot of sense. They'll build an indoor stadium in Vegas. And you know what the shocker is? That hockey, football, and baseball are going to end up in Vegas before an NBA team. I would have never guessed that. In a million years, I would have never guessed that. I would have bet everything and anything I got the NBA would have been the first league in Vegas. Because all the other leagues were way more uptight about gambling than basketball. I thought for sure the NBA, and as popular as it is in the summer league and all that, people flock to Vegas for the summer league. It's like a cool thing. Not us, because we're out here out east, but a lot of people out west, they make it a week and go out to Vegas for a week and have some fun and watch some summer league games. It's super cool, man. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, hopefully Joe Shad will be with us, and we'll talk a little Miami Dolphins football. We do that next.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
This is the Big O Show.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee, and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today, 786-802-1727, or online at adreamlending.com. Dolphins fans, buckle up. It's time for the American Dream Lending Miami Dolphins Report with Joe Shad. When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. Call them at 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com. Here's Joe Shad with today's edition of the American Dream Lending Report.
The man, the myth, the legend, that is Joe Shad. Mr. Shad, how are you doing, sir?
Good, Big O. How are you today?
I am feeling good. I'm hoping that Will Fuller feels better than I do. Have you heard anything? Do you know if this is precautionary or something else?
Well, he was listed with multiple injuries, and he also had cramping at the end of the last game. So, not being a participant, not being out of practice at all on a Wednesday is not a good sign. Obviously, I'm here in my kitchen and not out of practice, so I don't know if he is going to practice today. If he doesn't, that certainly, makes it far less likely that he's able to play against the Colts, which will help because, hey, if Fuller had been able to come down with that long touchdown catch in the end zone against the Raiders, we would be talking about the incredible impact that Fuller is already having. Yeah. So if he can't go, now you got to address Preston Williams or Albert Rolson, your favorite, both of whom were scratched last week.
Yeah, I was happy that they scratched Preston. I want them to take it nice and slow with Preston and give that young man some time to truly get healthy. That's what he needs right now. So that way he can actually, maybe move on with his career and kind of show us what or live up to the stuff that he has teased us with so far with his skill and ability. And I would imagine this is one of the things I've told fans. The guy that's got to be more frustrated than anybody else is Will Fuller, because he's on a 1-year prove it type deal, and he's at a point in his life where if he ever wanted that multi-year deal, now's the time with his age. But if this continues, he'll never see that multi-year deal.
Yeah, I think the injuries are part of Fuller's frustrations. Since becoming a Dolphin, he hasn't practiced much with the Dolphins, and he obviously had an injury-marred career in Houston. It was very good when he was playing, sort of Devontae Parker-like. When he's on the field, he's very good, but misses too much time. And of course, the Dolphins, have multiple players with injury histories. And we talked about this before the season even started, the idea that, if the Dolphins could have at least 2 of the 3 available every week, would you sign up for that? And that might be the track that we're on. We might have been onto something there.
Yeah, you were onto something there with that one on the 2 for 3. This week, so you get to hear the proverbial bullshit of it's just another game from Jacoby Brissett, right? Is that because that's how you get it every week, every time a player's facing his former team. And we all know, it's like Tom Brady had that bitch circled in the offseason going, I can't wait to go back to Foxborough and to stick it to them. I would imagine that this is a game, whether he wants to admit it or not, this has got to be a game he wants badly.
Yeah, I'm sure that he wants to play well against his former team. I think he also realizes that he was given every opportunity to succeed, an unbelievable quarterback in Andrew Luck. And so it's not like the Colts didn't give him the opportunity to seize the reins and be their franchise quarterback for years to come. There were some really good moments for Jacoby in a Colts uniform, but in his, down the stretch, his most recent starts weren't quite as good. So, yeah, as I get older, I start to realize that not every player playing against their former team is anywhere close to like the legitimacy of the Brady versus Belichick deal. Like that's legit important to both of those guys. Yeah. And, I'm sure it just pained Belichick to watch Brady win without him last year. I don't know that, the Brissett thing doesn't rise anywhere close to that.
No, not even close. And Belichick's also watching Kraft at that stadium to watch Brady win that and even congratulate him too. You know what I'm saying? So even with that book coming out now and all that, all the excerpts coming out of it and all that Kraft says Belichick's the biggest asshole in his life or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, that's I'm sure Brissett is as motivated to get back and to get back at his teammates or at his team, obviously, that let him go. The question is, do they trust him, Joe? Because we haven't spoken since the pregame show. And so after the game, when I was done, one of the things that I noticed is, well, you're inside the 5 and you keep running the Wildcat and then you run it with him. You didn't put it in his hands. Then you go for the 50-yard field goal, which maybe instead of going for the tie, if you trust your quarterback, you go for the jugular and you go for the win and you continue to drive. I look at that brain fart he had, obviously, in the end zone. And then a couple weeks ago, he had a brain fart of an ugly interception on the right side of the field, too. I wonder if they truly trust him. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that it's weird because, okay, you signed the guy, and now that you're playing him, you may not trust him. What are your thoughts?
They designed an offense around Tua Tagovailoa, so they've been practicing Tua stuff. And now you got to go to a Jacoby who, is not entirely dissimilar from Tua, but they're not going to run that run-pass option stuff, for example. And so that's part of it, right? You're tweaking the offense in 1 week for a quarterback, and they did have an entire week to prepare. The other thing we have to remember about Jacoby, even though he's a highly capable NFL backup, historically he's been one of the league laggards in yards per attempt. He's a guy who has never forced the ball down the field. So there were some instances that Jacoby tried to go downfield and it didn't work. I don't know what percentage of time it was his fault versus the receiver. And there were some times where he passed up the chance to throw at a Gesicki, for example, down the field. It seems like Gesicki is a guy who oftentimes is running open with his hand up and not getting the ball. I don't know. Maybe it's harder to see tight ends. There's like an invisible shield around them.
That doesn't make any sense.
The one thing you mentioned that I don't agree with is the going for it in overtime. This is something that a few folks in the media and certainly some fans have suggested was an easy call. They should have just gone for it. And I will say that, number one, it didn't even occur to me at the time that they should go for it. I thought that the obvious slam dunk play there was to kick the game tying field goal. I think in Brian Flores' mind, in a worst case scenario, you're going to end up in a tie situation because he expected his defense to hold. I understand that the game is changing, that teams are taking more risks. You saw John Gruden go for it inexplicably on fourth down from his own 34.
Well,
And the analytics are changing the way even some old school coaches are thinking. And the Dolphins are not a team that went for it on fourth down a lot last year. But, I thought the play there was definitely with a good kicker and a good defense to kick the field goal. I mean, what are the odds the Dolphins are going to convert a 4th and 2 in that spot? And, and as we saw, if they think their best play is a Malcolm Brown Wildcat, how would you feel if Malcolm Brown got stuffed after 1 yard?
Yeah.
We'd be really complaining about the coaching staff and trying to figure out who's calling plays.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. And what's the deal with Gesicki? Why do you think he's being underused? Because it doesn't make any sense. It's higher percentage passes. So it should be easier passes to find Gesicki for quarterbacks. Why do you feel he's being underused? I mean, this past week, finally, they got him the ball, but it's one of those things that why wouldn't he be a bigger part right from the get-go?
Well, I think he's got something going with Jacoby. At least it seemed like he did it, late in the game last week. And it's funny, I asked Gesicki about what he was thinking about when he was running the route on 4th and 20. And he said, I was thinking I need to run a deeper route than they basically told me to. Because he realized, look, I got a long way to go here. And there were just so many short routes. There have been so many short routes. And I think that's their strategy. That's their philosophy. That's their intent. That's their belief that they want to do the death by paper cuts deal that we saw work for Tom Brady. And
you have to be so perfect. You have to be so perfect. You have to be so precise in everything. Your route running, your blocking, your throwing, your catching. And this is not a precise team at this point in time. So it's just it's a weird concept to have right now.
A lot of voices I wrote about in the Palm Beach Post, are too many chefs creating a bland stew. And, when you have a lot of ideas, sometimes it kind of boils down to like the lowest common denominator. And, here you have Trent Dilfer coming out and saying that Charlie Fry is the Dolphins play caller. And so
he just got that wrong. He got that wrong. He knows Charlie Fry, and Charlie's calling the plays, but not calling the plays. He's just telling the plays to the kid. He got that wrong, dude. I mean, that's
well, there's a lot of voices and a lot of filters and a long telephone game and an unusual setup. Okay. And so, George Godsey is trying to think of a play. And Eric Stuzville is suggesting a run. And Brian Flores is saying, I think we should run. And then Stuzville is saying, I like this run. And then Godsey is giving it to Fry. And then I'm assuming Fry isn't changing plays. But it's just a lot of people involved, man. It's just very complex. I'm not saying that it won't work. But, I mean, look, the results through 3 games have not been good. I kind of wish they had just hired
Well, let's not pick on half the coordinator, right? Because they ran the hell out of the ball last week, so the running side worked, right? They ran for 130. One running back averaged 5 yards, the other running back averaged 4. Sounds to me like the running coordinator part worked. You know what I'm saying? The passing part, well, that's a whole different ball game. And there may be other scenarios involved, but it's funny that I hear people complaining about the dual offensive coordinators, and then every time I heard somebody complain, I would turn to them and say, "Well, wait a minute, they ran the hell out of the ball. They had 133 yards, so don't give me that half the coordinators were the problem because they ran the ball. One guy did his job, so maybe the issues are just with the passing game, blocking and passing with the quarterback and the receivers hanging out of balls and, whatever. I mean, maybe that's where the issue is right now. It's not so much the communication of it. It's maybe more the execution. Like you heard the coordinator say, well, he had 5 receivers en route, and I think he was just covering and being nice for Jacoby, but Jacoby had to know, like elementary, my dear Watson, the last thing I do is throw a screen in my end
No, he
zone.
shouldn't have thrown the pass to the guy. Why was the guy even standing there? Why did you?
He's a decoy, Joe. For that play in that scenario, he's a decoy.
And he said no.
Huh?
I asked Studesville, was Waddle a decoy, and he said no.
What's he gonna do, dude? He's not gonna completely throw. He's not gonna turn to you and say, bottom line, Jacoby Brissett was an idiot. In that scenario, yes, he has 5 options. That's not one of them. You can use it as a fake and maybe pump it to him and then go to somebody else, but you don't throw it there. But he's not going to throw his quarterback absolutely under the bus and say, Jacoby just had an incredible brain fart at a moment, and he knows he shouldn't have thrown that. I think he was being nice.
Brian Flores reiterated his offensive philosophy yesterday when we pressed him with a number of questions. And he said, basically, we want to keep the game close and win it at the end. We want to limit mistakes. We don't feel that we have to create one identity of who we are. We don't need to figure out what we do well and do it over and over again, which is what I would do. Okay. What he wants is for them to be pretty good at everything, so that they can select what they think will work against any given opponent. All right, it sounds good in theory, but if you aren't very good at any one thing, how can you be quite good at everything? And so, and I don't think that this Dolphins team needs to be quite as conservative considering the weapons they have. Now, I understand that it's hard to throw downfield passes when your offensive line is not holding up. But, it's a vicious circle, man. Like, did they draft the wrong offensive lineman, or are they not being coached as well as they should be? Or are the schemes not benefiting them? It's just a big circle. And everybody gets the credit when it works, and everybody gets the blame when it doesn't, including all of the offensive coordinators with their numerous ideas.
And by the way, the what you're telling me scares the shit out of me because it reminds me a lot of Wanstead. Keep it close, defense, punting, win it at the end. That kind of stuff. Almost like, it's kind of disturbing. All right. So what do you got going on this week? What's your selection? Do the Dolphins win this week? Because they desperately need to win.
I'm actually picking the Dolphins to win somewhere around 27-21, I believe. And it's mostly an indictment on the Colts and injured Carson Wentz and injured Quentin Nelson and injured Darius Leonard. And, they have so many talented players who are either going to be out or trying to play hurt. This is a team that is lacking confidence, and it's really spiraling in the wrong way. And I think that while there might be desperation in the Colts camp, the sense I got yesterday from the Dolphins is that their players are on edge and that they are going to play well.
Well, I would hope so, man. And they're home, and this is you think about this, Joe. You win this game, you're going to lose next week. But then if you beat Jacksonville, you're 3-3, and considering everything that's gone, that's not actually with 11 games left, you're in actually a really, really good spot if you can show some improvement in the O-line and then get Tua back. Things won't be that bad for the Dolphins if they can take care of business 2 out of the next 3 weeks, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long season, especially with the addition of a 17th game. It is absolutely true that things go from the sky is falling to playoff dreams in 60 minutes. And if the Dolphins come out and thump the Colts 34-6, the entire narrative will change. And I understand that coaches and players can't be focused too much on the wild swing from fans and media from week to week. But hey, it's part of our job, bud.
Yep, that's right. Follow him on Twitter at Shad Joe. Catch his exceptional work at the Palm Beach Post. Catch him twice a week here. You'll catch him again pregame on Sunday morning as we get you ready for a Dolphins and Colts. Joe, thank you for taking some time, my brother. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
Big O.
it.
Be well.
You got it.
You're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have. American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today. 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com.
Friday. Thank you. Appreciate Joe Shad, as always, coming through for us. It's a beautiful thing. If you want to get in, many ways to contribute to the program. Obviously, the YouTube chat board is always there for you. The text line, 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. And look, for those of you out there that, you keep texting me about Tua's not the guy and all that stuff. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to walk you off the ledge. Okay, you've given up on Flo, you've given up on Chris Greer, you've given up on the O-line, you've given up on the coach. Hey man, it is what it is. That's your prerogative. That's your Bobby Brown move. You can do whatever you want. I'm not here to try to convince you. The play on the field will convince you, and right now it's convinced you that they're not going anywhere. They're not going to win anything, and it's the same old, same old. I'm just not there yet. So, if you guys want me to, jump off the ship with you guys, I can't do that. I hear Iggy is beat daily in practice. He won't play in a game until he's getting smoked in practice. That's the fear. He won't. But he was active this week. But that's all right. I mean, it is what it is. And how can he play over the other two guys? But create whatever narrative you want, my man. Big O, if he keeps getting experience with the second and third teamers, he's not doing anything on those teams. He was a bad pick. You can't keep taking projects in the first round. Well, he hasn't been playing at all, sir. So I don't know what second and third team you're talking about. If you're talking about practice, that does nothing. You got to get into a game, and you got to get into game-like situations for him to be, to find out if he can play or not. But right now, obviously, he's got nothing. He's got no playing time. Let's see. Big O is living in fantasy land. Yes, I am. And it's fun. I'm going to go buy an elephant ear now. I'm going to go walk around fantasy land. Maybe I'll ride in the tea party, in the teacup. Then maybe I'll go over to Winnie the Pooh and Snow White, little Dumbo, little Peter Pan. Fantasyland is fun. I'm sorry. I mean, you can make fun of me if you want, but I'm enjoying Fantasyland. Then I relax in a small world, because you all know we all go to a small world to really kind of relax and, get off our feet and chill out. It's kind of like Filler Magic. You sit down in Filler Magic and, the wife and, the girls and all that. Oh, this is great. You know what we're doing, right? Filler Magic. We want to kind of catch a quick sleep. We wake up with strawberry in our face, towards the end, that the strawberry gets thrown in your face, and you wake up like, that smells good. And you got a quick nap, right? Hall of Presidents, you get a nap. Filler Magic, you get a nap. What's the other one? Oh, GE, it's a world of, no, it's not that one. What's it called? Now is the time. Now is the best time, So there's nothing wrong with Fantasyland. I enjoy Fantasyland in Disney World. All right. If you're not balling, you're not going to get into the game. That's it. He's not balling, so he's not getting into the game. I got you, bro. Noah is a bust. Is a terrible pick. Fire Chris Greer right now. There you go, bro. It's all done. Let's see what else do we have here. Why did we draft him in the first round when we already had X and Jones? Because X had just gotten arrested on a domestic issue, sir. And he had a knee injury. But I guess you don't remember that. I love the people they're living off of after the fact. At the moment, you don't know what you were getting with X. He has a domestic issue. That's a problem. It's not a good thing to hit women when you're a man. I don't know if you know that. Maybe in your eyes, I know you're St. Michael. So for you, it's nothing can be wrong for you. But it's not a good thing when you hit women. So the draft was a couple months right after he got into a domestic issue, then had a court issue with that, and the cops and the investigation, and he also had a knee surgery for like the fourth time he had a knee scope. I'm not sure if you know that also, St. Michael, that maybe X's knee is kind of like the side of the mountain in La Palma. You know how they talk about that there's a portion of that mountain in La Palma that could end up sliding into the ocean and causing a massive tsunami that will go clear across the Atlantic Ocean and end up on our shore. I don't know if you know that, but they talk about the right earthquake could shake the side of that mountain and that big ass rock go right into the ocean. Well, guess what? X has had so many knee surgeries, you don't know when the next one will be the last one. But that's all right, dude. That's all right. You don't need to plan ahead of time because you're not the general manager. So that's what was going on. But if you want to avoid the facts and you just want to then, a year and a half later, his knee's fine and he hasn't hit a woman again. Oh, why did they draft him? Well, that's why they drafted him. They were trying to protect themselves. Now, whether it works out or it doesn't, right now, it has not worked out at all. You can't do anything about that. Big O, does the Dolphins win the Super Bowl in a fantasy land? Every year. In fantasy land, the Dolphins win the Super Bowl every year. In fantasy land, the University of Miami football team is actually spending money. In fantasy land, Derek Jeter and Sherman have opened up the wallets to go buy a couple of bats to go with all the pitching they have. In fantasy land, we watch the Panthers skate around with the Stanley Cup. In fantasy land, Inter Miami wins the MLS Cup. You see, fantasy land is fun. It's not just elephant ears and the Winnie the Pooh ride. Now, the part that sucks about Fantasyland is that we no longer have 20,000 leagues under the sea. I always loved that ride because all you had to do was look out the window and you knew you were about 5 feet under the sea. And it wasn't a sea. It was just small little man-made lagoon. But we love Fantasyland. Okay? And Mr. Toad's Wild Ride used to be my favorite ride at Fantasyland. Just want you to know. Just for the Disney people to know, I'm a little mad that you eliminated Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. That, my friends, was pretty awesome. Let's see, what else do we have here? Big O, you bugging. Yeah, usually I am. That's what we do for about 3 hours a day. We are usually bugging. Alex Diaz says, in Fantasyland, the Mets beat the Marlins to get to the World Series. Yeah, that is Fantasyland because the Marlins would not be there. Maybe the Mets because they can spend money, but Rich V says, in Fantasyland, Halle Berry and company host the Big O show. That is, Halle Berry is the ultimate fantasy in Fantasyland for the Big O. I'm just saying. If I'm going to talk about myself in the third person in Fantasyland, then yeah, Halle Berry would be, that would be about the perfect fantasy right there. That would be one where, it's like when I was a kid and I used to watch I Dream of Jeannie, I always prayed to be locked into the bottle with Jeannie. Just, that's all. Just put the top on, leave me in there with Barbara Eden. It's over. I'm fine. I'm happy. Nowadays, you can lock me in the bottle with Halle Berry and we'll be fine. We'll be extremely happy with everything. All right, let's take a quick break. Let's get to hour number 3 right here on the program.
When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today, 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com.
Yes, we are ready for hour number 3 on the program, and there he is, the man, the myth, the legend, that is Eves. Eves, how you doing, baby? You doing all right?
I'm doing good, Big O. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing all right. I'm just hoping my Dolphins can bounce back this weekend. Very important game against the Colts, my brother. Very important game.
Yes, it is. Where we're at in this season, it looks like we're very far behind in the AFC at the very beginning. For now. Yeah, for now. So,
I think eventually everything will work out. I'm not ready to panic. You know what I mean? Like, you get people that walk into your office or they call you and they're in panic mode.
Oh, all the time.
You know what I'm saying? All the time, right? And then, and now interest rates are as low as 2% now. So you walk them off that ledge. You say, hey, things will be better now. You'll have lower payments. You'll have more money for vacation, for a new car, for your kids' college fund, those kind of things.
The famous words of Bob Marley, everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, you deal with panic all the time. So that's why you're usually a calm, cool customer. You know what I mean? But we got some folks. You're going to have to work on the psyche of some of our Dolphins.
Well, if we didn't have Flores at the helm, I think I'd be a lot worried than I am right now. But if anybody's going to be there to pull us through it, I think he's going to make it happen. So the Fins this weekend over the Colts, I think it's going to be a good game. But I think these guys know that they need to win this weekend.
Oh yeah,
and, I think they're going to make it happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely think they know they got to. This is one of those must-win situations already in week 4. Right now. And if they can win 2 out of the next 3, because they're going to lose to Brady. But if they win the following week against the Jags and you're 3-3 with 11 games left, I think, and you'll get Tua back. I think things can actually get better. Now the question is, will UM win tonight against Virginia? That's the question, because now starts the ACC schedule. So this is actually what really counts for them. They've got to win tonight, man. You're going to be watching tonight?
I'm going to be watching tonight. And, if the Canes want to remain in any type of contention in the ACC or for a bowl, they need to win. And they need to win against teams like Virginia, not Middle Connecticut State. So they need to make it happen tonight. We're under the lights, and, defense needs to come through, and we got to win this game.
I swear St. Thomas would have beat that team last week that they played and kicked their ass. Nothing. I swear. I mean, it's just, Middle Tennessee State or whatever the hell it is they played. Yeah, that was just crazy. All right, Eve. So what do you got going on at adreamlending.com so we could get our listeners who might be panicking right now, not about the Dolphins, but about their mortgage situation?
Well, we actually have a new program coming out. I've teamed up with a couple of my best realtors and title companies, and we want to give back, and we want to give back to veterans, and we want to help veterans get into houses. So with the Eves Heroes program, right now in VA loans, we're able, between us as a lender, the realtor, and the title company, we're all giving back up to $10,000 for them to use for their closing.
Wow, that's amazing.
In order to buy a house.
That's fantastic. So veterans, again, explain a little bit for veterans out there, the program, and they can take advantage of it.
Well, it's using your VA eligibility in order to obtain a VA loan. And what I did is I teamed up with some of my best realtors and title companies out there, and everybody's giving back so we can help veterans get in houses. Right now is not the easiest time to get into a house. A VA loan is great where it provides 100% financing, but you still have closing costs. You still have prepaids like insurance and taxes that need to be taken care of closing. And if the property doesn't appraise, which we've seen a lot of lately in this market where buyers are paying more than what the property appraised for, that means now our veterans have to come out of pocket in order to buy this house. Because a VA, loan would only allow us to finance 100% of the appraised value. So, we want to make it easier for veterans to get in homes. So we're all giving back to veterans in the form of credits for the closing costs, the realtors, the title companies, and of course myself and American Dream Lending. And we want to help veterans get into houses.
Wow, that is awesome. So if you are a veteran, call Eves. His personal cell number is 305-992-5218. That's 305-992-5218. And also for non-veterans, Eves, mortgage rates went down again, huh? I mean, that's actually pretty good news.
Yeah, mortgage rates are at all-time lows, and they're going to be going up. So you need to take advantage now. You need to lock your rate as soon as possible. Even if you were in a forbearance or a payment deferment due to the pandemic, we still have ways to finance you. I know a lot of you guys out there have tried to refinance, where you've been in a forbearance, you've been in deferment because there was less income coming into the household due to the pandemic, and your banks and a lot of banks told you no. Well, we can make it happen. So try again. Try with us. We'll get it done.
Right. And by the way, for those of you that are watching out of town, but you're moving into South Florida, call Eves, man. 305-992-5218. That's his personal cell phone. So you can call him anytime you're ready. 305-992-5218. Go to the website, adreamlending.com. Eves and company will definitely take care of you. Eves, thank you, my brother. I appreciate you as always, man. Great stuff.
Thank you, Big O. Have a good one. Let's go, Canes. Let's make it happen tonight, guys.
Damn right. Let's go, Canes. Let's make it happen. Thank you, my friend.
When you're ready to purchase a new home or refinance the one you have, American Dream Lending will make sure your loan experience is easy with fast approvals and quick closings. With many loan programs and competitive rates, now is the time to turn your dreams into reality. Ask about special financing for veterans. They never charge an application fee, and you will work directly with one of their experienced loan professionals. Stop dreaming and contact American Dream Lending today. 786-802-1727 or online at adreamlending.com.
We thank Eves for joining us as always. American Dream Lending. Seriously, if you're looking for a mortgage, you're looking to buy a home, buy a condo, whatever it is, call them and they will take care of you. 305-992-5218, adreamlending.com. What this way, that way, this way, that way. There it is, right there. adreamlending.com. There you go. So make sure you take care of it. There you go. It's a beautiful thing. All right, what else do we have? Thank you guys for helping veterans, says Raphael. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Marine, he says 96 to 2000. Thank you, Raphael, for all you did for us, okay, and everybody else that is serving right now and protecting all of our freedoms and allowing me to live in fantasy land, okay? Because it's important to live in fantasy land. Tina says, thank you, Raphael, for your service. How about that, Tina? Tina, you are a class act. Way to go. Way to go. Let's see. Michael Bustamante says, Miami's got Brady's number all day. Miami is Brady's daddy. Dude, if they beat the Bucs next week, that would be freaking amazing. Now that's fantasy land. That would be amazing. I don't know. I might have a heart attack in that post game show if they beat them. If they go out there and play like they've never played so far on their floors, and they go out and beat the Bucs, that would be freaking awesome, dude. That would be a beautiful thing. Let's see. Finns have a winning record over Brady in Miami, but Brady has had huge winning percentage at home against us. Yeah. Listen, I'm not worried about the Brady game. Okay. I'm worried about this week against the Colts and 2 weeks from now, or 2 weeks after that, against the Jags in London. You must win those 2 games. You lose those games. Let me put it this way. You lose those games, or one of those games, I guarantee you, at the end of the year, we're going to look back at one of those 2 games and going to say, that's what cost them a playoff spot. Okay? Everything they've done now, or they've lost to right now, they can overcome everything else. But you cannot overcome losing to the Colts and the Jags. You have to win those games. If you plan on being a playoff team, it just puts you in a position that then you're going to have to win a couple of the games that you're not supposed to win. And it's just that much tougher. So to me, in the next 3 weeks, it's about those 2 games that they've got going on. They've got to find a way to win those games. I don't care how you win them. I don't care how ugly it is. I don't care if it's by 1 stinking point and you win them at the end of the game in the last second where you cross the end zone or hit a field goal and you win by a point. I don't care, dude. Find a way to win those games. Those are the ones that are going to piss me off if you lose. I'm not pissed off that you got routed by Buffalo. It sucks. It hurts. But I get it. Buffalo is just so much better. You lose to the Bucs, I'm not going to be all hot and bothered. But I'm going to be pissed off if you lose to the Colts or the Jags. Now, as a coaching staff, you better prepare your guys to win that game. As players, you better take the pride to make sure you take care of business and set yourself up. Because if you're 3-3 through the first 6 with 11 games left, I like Flo's chances in turning things around. I believe in Tua coming back. Obviously, it's all about the O-line, just giving the kids some time so he can play the damn game. Tony Zagala says, if Canes lose tonight, how many excuses will Manny have tomorrow? Oh, he'll have plenty. Don't worry about it. I mean, Manny and excuses go hand in hand. You know, that's the way it is. It's like Adam Gase. He was full of excuses also. If Dolphins lose those 2 games, do we trade X? I don't know. That's an interesting question. That's a very interesting question if you lose those 2 games. Big O, beating the Bucs can happen as it's a letdown week after Bucs beating Pats. Nah, I don't think it'll be a letdown. Especially if you're Brady, dude. If you're Brady and you're playing Miami, Brady can't feel like that against the Dolphins. He might feel like, all right, this is a pain in the ass. You know, I've won my share, obviously, but this game is never easy for me. And that's kind of the way Brady has to look at the Dolphin game. Because the Dolphin game usually is a pain in the ass for him. I get it. Miami gives him some even more trouble at home, but they've played him well. So I don't think there'll be a letdown. I don't believe that kind of letdown. I think, and I also believe, I know some of you aren't going to like this one, but I think people do have respect for Flo and the way his teams play week in and week out. And they kind of expect it to be a tough game. And that Flo and his teams will be disciplined enough to make it hard on you to beat them. I mean, look at the Raiders. The Raiders end up, winning a game, but they had to fight all the way to the end in order to win that game, and they needed every break possible, like a missed field goal, like a stupid decision in your own end zone for a safety, and those kind of things in order to win the game, and a bad call in the end zone that they should have called. So I think there's enough respect around the league to know that, okay, you might be able to beat the Dolphins, but you're going to earn that victory overall. So I don't expect a letdown from Brady or the Bucs, especially Brady. I don't know. I don't think he will allow his team to be let down. You might beat them, but I don't think that they are going to go into games flat. Kansas City, they're the ones that are still reading their clippings and all that stuff, and they're not playing up to snuff. But Tampa Bay, just beat the Colts and beat the Jags, please. That's it. I don't want to entertain the silliness of talking about beating Tampa Bay and stuff like that, especially with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. I don't think so. Good afternoon, Big O. Teaching here in Hollywood, Florida, just smashing the like button. May you have positive vibes today, knowing we got a victory this week. Let's do it. Let's do it. Douglas Anderson says, so we trade X so Greer can draft another Noah and another Jackson. Draft picks are only valuable if you hit on them. Otherwise, they are monopoly money. Yep. They are. You are correct, sir. But, I'm not ready to give up on the players like you have already after 1 year. Metallica announces Black Album Funko Pop featuring band members and cover art. Okay. I saw that come across the wire there. Okay. Ronald Hubbard on Twitter says, even if Tua wasn't injured or with the O-line not playing well or consistent, before the season started, I looked at the schedule. I left it like 3-3 start would be realistic and a good start. I hope for maybe a 4-2 start, but not expected. Okay. That's why I'm saying that 3-3 is fine. I got no problem. 3-3 is cool. 3-3 with 11 games left, you are still in position to take advantage of this season and play well and get into the playoffs. And maybe we can walk some of you off the ledge and you won't be panicking so much. Although all of this, I will say this, all of this has put me in a position where I cannot wait for Tua to get back. I've seen enough of Jacoby Brissett that I've seen. Look, I saw enough already in Indy, but I didn't have the right opinion of the young man. I thought he was good enough as a backup that, you can win with him. But looking at him, I just don't trust him. And he's a guy that plays scared. He's a guy that obviously has brain farts, already had a couple. I see why now Indianapolis was like, yeah, dude, you're not even close to being good enough. And he's a guy that really needs his team to carry him. That on his best day, he can be a facilitator for you, not more than that. And with a guy like that, I just don't feel like he has a shot at being a difference maker. And I know this will obviously piss some of you off or frustrate you or call me crazy or I'm in fantasy land, but I believe Tua is a difference maker. And I believe if the line gives him some time, I think he will show it to people and prove a lot of people wrong. And that's what the Brissett thing has already done for me. I can't wait for it to end. I can't wait for the end of that, Jags game, right? I think it is. No, he might be eligible for the Jags game, right? If I'm correct, because he played this last game, then the Colts and Tampa, that would make it to 3 games, and he should be eligible for the Jags game, which would be a great game to get Tua back and have him play that game as a fine-tuned type game. But I can't wait to get these next 2 games done so we can move on from this Jacoby Brissett era and start the Tua era once again. This has gotten me more excited about Tua returning. I just want to keep him, upright. I just want the offensive line to block a little bit here. But nothing makes me more anxious about Tua than watching Jacoby Brissett. I don't know how much my heart can take watching Jacoby Brissett, to be honest with you. I don't know how many times you're going to get lucky with a couple of throws he had towards the end of the game last week. Fortunate that you were back into the mix and an opportunity to win. But that's what that guy's done to me. He has made me look forward even more to Tua's return. Because as many people were like, well, he's as good or better than Tua right now and all that. You know what? No, he's not. Tua's problem is they don't give him time to pass the damn ball. But if they give him time, I think you're going to have an incredibly effective quarterback. That's what I think. And if this offensive line can actually give the kid time and then the kid then has success, I think there's a part of those offensive linemen will say, man, we got to keep this going. We got to keep him upright. If we protect him, we got a shot. And there hasn't been enough of that yet, so guys can be a little extra motivated to all of this. Because now the motivation is from fear that you got him hurt and you don't want to do it again. I want the motivation to feel like if we keep him upright, if we keep him untouched, we got a chance to win games. That's the feeling I want. That's the feeling I want them to have too. I hope that's the case. Big O, the O-line will be playing better when Tua returns. I hope so, Herman. I hope so. I hope you're right, man. Ian from Brooklyn says, Jacoby, when he speaks, doesn't sound like a leader to me, regardless of his QB skills, which are poor to begin with. Rafael Courtnight says, what good playoff team has Tua beaten? Big O radio show. What, were the Rams a playoff team last year? I'm wondering. Didn't they beat the Rams last year? Weren't they a playoff team? I don't think did Arizona end up making the playoffs last year? Because they were pretty good. They were a pretty good team. Were they in the playoffs? I forgot now. I got to look it up now. But I thought he did. I thought he beat a playoff team last year. Let me look at the standings from last year, because I forget now. I don't remember it all. What can I tell you? Let me see where we at here. 2021. How come I can't go to a man? Now I got to go to the NFL one. You suck, ESPN. Making me go to the NFL.com one. Blows. Here we go. Standings. Let me see here. We will check. We will check. You had a couple good wins last year. I'm not sure if they were playoff teams. I will tell you right now. I know some of you probably are already sending it in on the text line. But just to, appease that gentleman over there and make him happy. Rams were a playoff team last year. They beat the Rams. Cardinals were not. They were 8-8. So they did beat a playoff team last year. There you go, sir. How about that? Let me see. Full schedule. What do we got here? Let me go to 2020, sir. The Cincinnati Bengals weren't one, right? What else do we have here? Wait a minute. What's going on here? What am I doing here? Okay. All righty. What else do we have here? This is not good radio for me to go through all of this. What were you guys thinking? I think the Rams lost to Green Bay. No, the Rams were in the playoffs. So there you go. I'm trying to see here on NFL.com. I put 2020, but it just doesn't show up with like the results. That's the problem, which is weird. Well, at least the Rams were there. Here we go. Let me see. Do we have it here? Where are we at? Oh no, they got me with the other. Oh, here we go. Here we go. 2020, sir. There we go. All right, so they beat the Rams. Zona wasn't, Chargers wasn't, Jets wasn't, Cincinnati wasn't, New England wasn't, and the Raiders weren't. Jacksonville wasn't. San Fran did not make the playoffs, correct? I think San Fran did not make the playoffs. So the Rams were the one team that they beat that was a playoff team, 28-17. Not sure if you saw that game. He did get his ass handed to him because he was crushed in that game. But Tua did go 12 of 22 for 93 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions in a win against the Rams. So there you go. That's your playoff team. Now you can, poo-poo that if you want. Big O, you a member in the history teams come in undefeated, favorite for Super Bowls, come to play, even worse record, even worse Miami record. See us as the worst team in the NFL. We always run that perfect record. Okay. Sad some fans have given up on the kid who hasn't played a full NFL season. Well, Tua's played 10 games and 9 plays. What are you going to do? I'm not a Tua hater, but I'm a realist. He'll never stay healthy, and there's no avoiding the fact. Yes. So the playoff team thing failed, so now the injury thing, so I get it. And you can't argue with the injury history. The kid is always injured. How many do we play in 2021? I'm not sold on Tua. I've been wrong before. Great show, Big O. How many playoff teams in 2021? I don't know, man. I don't really care about that. Doesn't matter to me. Just make the playoffs. That's all. That's all I need. Just make the damn playoffs. I don't need anything else from you. And how you make them, it doesn't matter to me. The schedule's the schedule. You win enough games, you get in, because that's what the question is after that. If, then they're fraudulent and they shouldn't be in the playoffs because they didn't beat enough playoff teams. I mean, you got to win in the playoffs, right? People used to do that about Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck would get in the playoffs and then beat playoff teams. And I would tell people, yeah, I get it. He doesn't play in a great division, but he still beats teams in the playoffs. And then that would, some would come up with another cheap excuse not to give Andrew Luck any credit. And then others were like, oh, because they had no answer. He only gets to the playoffs because he's in that division. Okay, but he's going deeper into the playoffs every year with nobodies. I don't think that kid gets enough credit for what he did in Indianapolis. I mean, he is a superhuman to do the things he did in Indianapolis early on in his career while taking a beating. What a crime that kid is not in the NFL. and I don't care about the Colts at all. I could give a rat's ass, but I'm a football fan. We lost out on one of the great young quarterbacks in this league, dude. Good for him that he's got a brain and he actually can do other things with his life. And he didn't want to be all effed up at the end of his career because he played, 15 years in the Colts and he took just an absolute beating. And now he needs multiple hips replaced and a knee replaced. And he's got arthritis in the other knee and all that. I don't blame him. I don't blame him for any of that. But that dude was special, man. Incredibly special. If we can establish a running game, then it will help the O-line in the passing game. I agree. They need to run and they need to run block, and you want to build confidence. And by run blocking, you will build that confidence. No doubt. Dana Buse says, I care about players on the team. I'll take note from Brian Flores. I like it. What else do we have? You saw that whole thing with the NBA, and they're not going to pay unvaxxed players. Did you guys see that stuff? So if you're not vaccinated and you can't play in certain cities, you will end up missing out on money. And I don't know if you guys know about this, but some of these guys are set to lose a lot of money. Okay? If they don't end up playing. Kyrie Irving and Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins is on a 5-year, $147 million deal. He will pass up $15.8 million this season. And Irving, on a 4-year, $136 will forfeit $17.5 million this year by not being able to play in certain places like their cities because they are unvaccinated. That's a lot of money, bro. For a stance that has zero substance. Okay? Because nothing that any of you out there have come up with this crazy thing. Like Wiggins thinks they're using the vaccine to control our population. Like something in the vaccine is going to start killing us. Or something like that. Or some people, it's to track us. And as I said earlier on the show, nothing's been proven. The vaccine's been out all over the world. Scientists all over the world could get a hand of that vaccine and break it down and see if there's any kind of substances in there, which is stupid and ridiculous. But it's amazing how people come up with silly-ass stuff that has no basis, no proof whatsoever, zero proof. And these idiots are going to miss out on $15 to $17 million to put their lives at risk, to put their families at risk because they don't want to take the vaccine, because they want to come up with some silly excuse that there's something inside of it. Yeah, they want to control the entire population in the entire world. Every government's working against all of us. All the governments are working together to work against their own people. Yeah. The silly shit that people will come up with. And there's zero proof of anything. Yet people will invent all kinds of stuff not to take a vaccine. Something we've been doing for over 100 years in this world. For all kinds of things that we've had. It's not the first pandemic, and it won't be the last, unfortunately. It's just the first during our lifetime that it's this bad. I mean, we had the swine flu and all that, but it wasn't nearly as bad as this. This is like when we had polio and we had, what's that other one from back in the day? Not the measles, but the, God, what's that other one that was, happened a long time ago too? But it's just, so Wiggins is going to give up $15 million for a stupid theory that's unproven. Nothing. Holy moly. I'm vaccinated myself, but no one should be forced to take the vaccine. No, but your job can force you. I mean, if they want to create a safe environment, which if you're vaccinated, you're creating a safer environment. You got something that at least gives you a shot at fighting off the virus. And it also keeps you out of a hospital and off a ventilator. That's pretty good. Carlos says, I get that you want everyone to be vaccinated, but this is BS, people. Cannot be coerced into taking a vaccine. I am vaccinated. This is preposterous. This is America, and people still have freedoms. You can have freedoms. There's nothing wrong with freedoms. But when we have a pandemic, you are part of a problem, not the solution. That's all it is. It's just common sense, dude. The more vaccinated people we have, the more we'll kill the virus off. The less vaccinated people we have, the more we'll keep it alive, because there are more people that can really catch it and it can do some damage. At least if you have the vaccine, you got a chance of fighting it off at times, or if you catch it, it won't do nearly as much damage to you. It's common sense. Now, if you don't want to use common sense, that's up to you guys that have chosen to come up with a crazy... Look, what is it? They're tracking? Is that the cheap excuse? That they're controlling population? Is that the crazy ass excuse? Or, oh, no, it's my freedoms. Nobody's taking any freedoms away from you. You can still vote. Aren't you forced to stop at a red light? Oh, my freedoms. Aren't you supposed to stop at a stop sign? Oh, my freedoms. Oh, you're not supposed to bring a gun to the airport. Oh, my freedoms. There's a lot of things you can't do. And these aren't options. No, you can't do them. Period. There's all kinds of restrictions in life, period, that they ask you to do certain things and you got to do them. That's all. Let's not make it sound like asking you to take a vaccine is the only thing that you're required to do in life. You want to drive? You need a license. Okay? You need a license. And if you keep getting tickets, you won't have a license. You want to travel? You need a passport. There's lots of things in life that you've got to do, and you have no choice. Freedoms. Give me a break, dude. This isn't about freedoms. This is about, let's just call it humanity overall. That's what this is about. We're fighting a virus. We're fighting a pandemic. We're not fighting your rights. That's the problem with all of this. There are 8,000 cheap excuses. The only one that matters is if you have a health condition that doesn't allow you to take the vaccine. That's it. End of story. That's the only excuse that flies. Nothing else flies. You're required to do a lot of things. People won't serve you in restaurants if you don't wear a shirt or shoes. Required. There's a lot of things that you're required to do. So freedoms, give me a damn break, dude. My body, my choice. It's their right. We're still a free society and a free country. Not for long. If you keep thinking that way, it's the right to do whatever he wants. It's your right to lose money, then you lose money. Exactly. But it's also your right to, you want to not take a vaccine and put more people at risk. Basically. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, bro. And Michael, don't tell me to change any subject. Okay? Are we clear on that? Don't ever do that. You don't control my show. You don't tell me what to say and when to say it and when not to say it, or talk about whatever I want. That shit don't fly here. Okay? So don't even bother with that shit. That don't fly here. That's That's in the unacceptable category on this show. All right? You don't control jack shit here. Are we clear on that? Okay? I don't go for that. So that's the kind of shit that gets you banned from this show. Are we clear on that? Okay? I'm a 54-year-old man. I'll be 55 tomorrow. Nobody tells me what to do. Ever. Nobody told me in radio what to do. I would tell program directors to go fuck themselves. Are we clear on that? Are we clear on that? Okay? When teams could call me and tell me, hey, listen, we don't appreciate it, I'd tell them, hey, it's my opinion. You shut the hell up. I know my business. I know what I do. Are we clear on that, Michael? Okay? Don't ever do that again. You will get blocked here. I like you. Appreciate it. Don't tell me what to do. Let's be clear on that. This is my show. My agenda. I talk about what I want. If you don't like it, you got a choice. It's America. Are we clear on that? All right. Let's take a quick break. Michelle Kaufman will join us next.
Enjoy Miami in speed and style. Only on Thriller Miami Speedboat Adventures. Take advantage of special September Florida residence rate. Monday through Friday, you can book a tour on the biggest, baddest speedboat tour at 50% off. Must show Florida ID in order to get the discount. Tour special only available during September. Call 305-373-7001. That's 305-373-7001 to reserve your tickets on Thriller Miami Speedboat Adventures.
Inter Miami football. There she is, the legend that is Michelle Kaufman. Does an excellent job for the Miami Herald covering Inter Miami. Michelle, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? Good. How are you?
I am excellent. I can't complain except when somebody tries to tell me how to run my show, which is not something that you should ever do on this. That's it. That's one of the biggest no-nos on this show, to tell me, oh, don't talk about this or don't talk about that. That part I don't accept and go with. But anyway, yes.
By the way, I'm getting a little echo. Should I put headsets on? Oh, no, now it's gone. I think we're good. Okay, go ahead.
All right, good. All right. Last night, I'm starting to wonder that the shoe fell off of Cinderella's foot and all that, because we had such a nice run, a run that I never even expected, to be honest with you. Okay, they completely fooled me on that run that they went on, but now they've lost 3 in a row. Offense is really struggling. Last night they had some opportunities, and it's just kind of frustrating. What are you seeing right now that's missing compared to the run that they were on?
Well, when you look back at the run, there were a few games where they scored three goals, 2 goals. But if you really go back and look, first of all, it was against some of the weaker teams, to be honest. And also, even toward the end of that run, they still were not scoring. But they were all saying that it's fine if they weren't scoring, because as long as they're getting clean sheets, it doesn't matter if if you just win 1-0, 1 goal is enough if you have a clean sheet, and 0-0 would be a tie. So during that run, it's not like there was one little week where they scored goals, where Pizarro and Robbie Robinson both were, scoring and everything looked good. But before that, they struggled to score. After that, they have struggled to score. So you have to really believe that the truth lies more, I think I was talking to, maybe it was Jim Curtin of Philadelphia, the coach, and he was saying that, at the end of 34, you can't go by runs. In this league, teams go on runs. They have a good run. They have a bad run. At the end of the day, after 34 games, everything seems to even out, and the best teams rise, and the middle teams are in the middle, and the bottom teams are in the bottom. So I think in this case, everyone, including me, had very high hopes during that. It was an 11 games with just 1 loss in 11 games, which is a really great streak. It is a great streak. But, even during that period, they did struggle to score in many of the games, particularly the last 3 or 4 of those games. And they were winning either 1-0 or tying 0-0. And, that the luck was going to run out at some point. If you don't score, you're not going to win. You just can't win if you don't score goals. And, last night, by the way, they had 0 shots on target. 0.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Also, just if
And
you look at
it wasn't like they weren't around the target. Okay.
They were around the target. Blaze had a chance. Robbie Robinson had a very good chance.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the whole season, if you really look at the sum total of the whole season, one of the key stats that I think is very telling is that this team is the lowest scoring team in the entire league. Not just in the Eastern Conference. Out of 27 teams, they are ranked 27th in scoring with 25 goals. So it's very difficult to say you're going to be one of the top 7 teams or one of the top 5, top 7 teams if you are the league's lowest scoring team. You would have to just get clean sheets like every single game. That's not going to happen. So they definitely, defensively, they showed again last night. Atlanta is a team that had scored 10 goals over 4 games. They were playing at home. They had 42,000 people. And Miami did hold them scoreless from the field of play. For 94 minutes, they did not score a goal from the field of play, a team that had scored 10 goals over 4 games, and they were playing at home and everything else. So the defense, especially with LGP back in there and with Nico Figales coming back this Sunday, they're going to have their full squad. Gregory, Nico, LGP, everybody will be there. I think defensively, they're a good team. They got, 4 clean sheets in a row. Last night was essentially a clean sheet without the PK. So they've proven that they can hold teams from scoring, but they really are struggling on the other end. And, Gonzalo Higuain, you see him, he's dropping further back. He I guess he felt he wasn't getting the service in the box. So now he's moved back and retreated, and they put Robbie sort of in front of him a little bit last night, but it really didn't seem to work. I think what I would say about Robbie is that Robbie is an incredible talent as far as his speed, his size. He has ball skills. He can take on defenders better than most. But he lacks the vision near the goal. And Gonzalo said it a few weeks ago. He said he still has to learn to see the field and to look up. He needs to look up because sometimes he is in a great position to shoot, but other times there's someone else in a better position and he doesn't see them. And then he'll take a shot and it just won't be the best shot. So I think he has a lot of good qualities, and he's young and he has a lot to learn. But they're not connecting. Gonzalo and Rodolfo Pizarro are not connecting up front the way they need to.
And listen, you and I have had the fortunes of covering local soccer here for a long time, and we've been able to be around professional soccer players, including the first go-round with the Fusion back in the day. Obviously, we were really young in the days of the Strikers, and I as a kid, I remember being in the stands. But as a reporter and as a person that's worked with teams, and all the way from when I was in San Jose, when I was working in San Francisco, and I saw Wijnaldum in his earlier days there, and then we saw him later on in the Fusion towards the back end. But whether it's Lassiter, whether it's Cerna, Preki. When we're talking about scorers, they bring an attitude. They have this confidence. There's this cockiness that comes with it. There's a little bit of diva in the sense of I want the ball, not the diva of I'm complaining and whining. No. I want the ball. I want to be the guy that puts my team on top. We see it with Ronaldo and Messi and all that. We could talk about the big guys, but I can talk about my personal experiences of being around just like you, because you and I have been around the same kind of people for a long time, and we've watched those kind of people. I don't know if Robbie, maybe it's because he's so young, or maybe he should already have that kind of an attitude. But if you're going to play that position, I want you to bring that fire that comes with that position, and usually the guy that plays that position, or woman, by the way, plays that position is in desperation of the ball and wants that opportunity.
Well, I think and I think Higuain has that. You see that he wants the ball, and if you're not going to give it to him, it's like, well, if you're not going to give it to me, I'm going to drop back and I'm going to get the ball myself.
Right.
He wants the ball. He wants the ball, and he's very confident. Robbie definitely does not have that confidence level yet. He really doesn't. He's very talented. There's no question. And in college at Clemson, he was probably just so superior athletically.
Right.
I didn't watch him play at Clemson, but he led the nation in scoring. So he was the top scorer in the country at that position, at the 9, in the middle, center forward. On this team, to be honest, the best that he has played was on the left wing. I really feel that the times that they've used him with his back to the goal as a 9, he has not been as effective as because what he's good at least so far in professional soccer, is taking guys on, speed, getting to the ball, taking guys on, bringing it up the field. And then, once in a while he was getting shots and getting them in from the left side. But I think he's more effective. But what do I know? I am not the coach. These coaches, I will never, ever pretend to know more than Phil Neville and his whole staff, who all they do is sit around and watch these guys at practice and watch tape of them and study. And I don't do that. So I am absolutely sure their livelihoods depend on those players, and mine does not. So I would never pretend to know more. I assume that they know what they're doing and that there are reasons they put him in the position they put him in. From my position as just a sports writer who watches and has covered a lot of soccer, to me, it just looks like he was more effective on the left side than he is in the middle. I think what happened is Gonzalo, even Pizarro told us last week that one of his adjustments that he's had to make to work with Gonzalo is that he and Gonzalo end up occupying the same space on the field, and they basically trip over each other. You know what I mean? And so he said that Gonzalo does not like to stay in the box, that he likes to drift back, and he ends up drifting into the area where Pizarro liked to play as a 10. Last year, he was more of a 10. Lewis Morgan was on the right, and then whoever, random, collection of people on the left. This year, the idea was that Gonzalo was going to be in the box and stay in the box, and everybody delivers to him. But he does a lot of freelancing, and it seems like he likes to drift back because he's not satisfied enough with the delivery he's getting. So he's like, F it, I'm going to go back there and get the ball myself and create something. I'm Gonzalo Higuain. I've played on some of the top teams in the world. Give me the damn ball. So, but when he does that, when he drifts back, the other guys then have to adjust. So I just think that there's
and by the way, he doesn't have the skill set to drift back that far, that when he does get the ball, he's not going to penetrate 3-4 guys to get to the goal and get his shot. I think ultimately what has hurt this team is that they don't have a dominant playmaking midfielder. That's really what's hurt them, because they need that guy.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm gonna ask Phil tomorrow. We have an interview with him tomorrow from Portland. I am gonna ask him why he doesn't play Federico Higuain anymore, because the few times he played earlier this season, he was a game changer. The guy has vision. I feel that what they're missing in the middle there is somebody with vision who sees the field in front of them and can thread the needle, pass, make the right pass to the right guy and put players in position to score. I feel like that is really what's missing. Pizarro has not really been able to do that effectively for whatever reason. Maybe it's just that he and Gonzalo they have trouble with, like, Gonzalo. I mean, Pizarro was saying, I have to figure out where to be because we always end up, the two of us, in the same space, and we're not supposed to be in the same space. there's something not clicking, right? Okay.
I know.
They've got these guys with individual skills. I'm not saying they're bad players at all, but collectively, the chemistry on the field, there's something that's not clicking there between Robbie, Gonzalo, Rodolfo. It's not clicking right. And
Yeah,
it's hurting them. I mean, even if they last
couple
night, like I
years
said,
back,
huh?
a couple of years back, you and I covered a team for the Miami FC that beat a few, MLS teams
Yeah.
in the US Open. That team would smoke this team now because they had a chemistry. They knew how to set each other up and all. There was a balance on that team that I have not. These guys haven't even come close to having that kind of a balance. You know what I'm saying? And back in the day when we had the fusion and they made their run to the Western Conference Finals, again, you had that balance, that you had a strong midfield to set up, your forwards. Because in a way, Lassiter is a lot like, and Cerna is a lot like Higuain. They're
Yeah.
guys that have to be up in the front, and you need to set it up for them so they finish the play. But they are not Cerna and all those guys. They weren't, well, although Cerna sometimes could be like a truck, and he could power through a couple of guys.
Oh no, he was
He could do it.
He was a bulldozer. He was a bulldozer.
Yeah. He had a little bulldozer, and Lassiter could not do that, and neither can Higuain at this point in time. But I think that's his frustration, that Higuain just doesn't have that guy that can really set them up, and I think that's what's hurt their entire offense this year.
Yeah, yeah, and I think last year, I mean, they've asked Lewis Morgan, he'll do whatever they tell him. He's a great teammate, and he set the record last night. He reached 50 games for Inter Miami. He's the only player. He has played every single game for Inter Miami and started. He has started 50 games in a row for Inter Miami. He's the only player who's done so. Very valuable. He was the MVP last year, but they're asking him to play a more defensive role, which Phil talked about last night, that he's playing a role that he is very unfamiliar with still. He's doing it because that's what they've asked him to do. But his offensive skills, last year, in my vision of last year's team, even though it was basically they're going to finish around the same maybe as this year's team. They finished 10th last year. They may finish 10th this year, Yeah. But what I do remember about that
by
team,
the way, they even took out the set pieces from Morgan. It's Higuain actually kicking the ball from the corners now.
Yeah, although they go back and forth now between the two of them. But yeah, but Lewis Morgan last year, my image of last year's team, if there was anything that stood out, it was Lewis Morgan dribbling the ball up the right side, beating people and then crossing. Everyone talked about his crosses. He would cross in from the right side, and either Gonzalo or whoever was around there. But his role has changed, because of the personnel they had. They've moved people around, and just offensively, to me, that's the story of this team. They've shown that they can play defense. This goalie has, done a good job with starting the attack from the back, and they're keeping teams, other than the 9 goals over 2 games, which that was horrible. But they're still not scoring. And without scoring, they're not going to win games,
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. All right. What are you seeing Sunday in Portland? Because that's 4th best team in the conference. They've been pretty damn good for a while now. How difficult of a challenge is
That's
this?
going to be difficult. That's a team that 2 games ago, they beat a team 6-1, and 6 different guys scored. They had 6 different guys scoring in a 6-1 game. Last night, I think they won 2-1 last night. They can definitely score. Their atmosphere there is really good. As we know, anyone who's seen that, the Portland Timbers fans are really, and it's a long trip. They are flying out today, so they're going to have plenty of time. They're flying from Atlanta straight out. They didn't come back to South Florida.
Smart.
So they flew from Atlanta straight to Portland. They'll get there later this evening, today, whatever. They're going to have all day tomorrow, all day Saturday to prepare for the game on Sunday. So, I mean, they're going to get, acclimated to the time difference. They haven't played on the West Coast since the opening game of this franchise, March of 2020. is the last time this team played on the West Coast. So it's going to be, a different atmosphere, different time zone against a team that can score in front of their home crowd. It's going to be it's going to be tough. They have 4 road games in a row. They had Atlanta, then they've got that one. They've got Columbus. They don't come back home till October 20th, although they played crappy at home. So maybe they'll do better on the road. Their 3 worst games of the season. Their 3 absolute debacle of games have all been at home. 5-0 to New England, 4-0 to New York, and 5-1 to Nashville. So their worst performances of the season have been at home. So maybe they're better off on the road. Maybe they bond better on the road. I don't know what it is. Maybe they'll do okay. I don't know. But they've got to figure out a way to score. That's for sure.
Well, there isn't a lot to do in Portland. It's only roses or rioting is what they do a lot of over there in Portland. They like to.
I would put Vasilev. That's another one that I'm going to ask him about tomorrow. Vasilev, he came in during that stretch, during that 11-game stretch that everybody got excited about. One of the reasons was he came in and scored in back-to-back games. Yeah. And he is very fast. He has the speed that Robinson has. I mean, that Lewis Morgan has. Vasilev is very, very fast, and he seems to be kind of a fearless guy with some attitude, the attitude you're talking about. I'm going to ask him why he hasn't played him more also. I think he and Fede maybe are being wasted on the bench. But again, I'm not a coach, but I'm just going to ask that question and see what he says.
Follow her on Twitter at Koff Sports. Catch her work there at the Miami Herald, and make sure you subscribe to the Herald and support Michelle and all the great writers that are there for the Miami Herald covering our community. Michelle, thank you as always. Enjoy the football over the weekend. Thank you.
All right.
We will definitely catch up down the line. Appreciate it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You got it. There you go. The great Michelle Kaufman. All right. We love Michelle. Always great insight from Michelle Kaufman.
Enjoy Miami in speed and style. Only on Thriller Miami Speedboat Adventures. Take advantage of special September Florida residence rate. Monday through Friday, you can book a tour on the biggest, baddest speedboat tour at 50% off. Must show Florida ID in order to get the discount. Tour special only available during September. Call 305-373-7001. That's 305-373-7001 to reserve your tickets on Thriller Miami Speedboat Adventures.
That Will Fuller has returned to practice and he says, I was wrong about Fuller. I didn't think he would ever play it down for us. What you got to do is stop overreacting is what you all got to do. Some of you out there, you're quickly reacting to things and you're not letting things develop. And I get it. You're frustrated. You're pissed off. You've given up on Tua. You've given up on the coach. You've done all of this and you're giving up too soon. And the Will Fuller thing, that's why I kept telling you guys, let's wait. Maybe it was just a precautionary thing. He didn't practice yesterday. They're taking it slow. They're doing that with everything. All of their injuries, they've been doing this for a while now. They have handled things a little differently with their injuries. They've been very patient with players that have gotten injured. And I think that's what happened with Tua too. He probably wanted to try to return, and they're like, nah, we're going to put you on IR. You need a couple of weeks. We need to make sure that when you get back, you can play. Preston Williams, they're not hurrying up to get him back. None of that stuff. So Fuller looks like he's going to practice today. Hopefully everything will go well, and then he'll be ready. They looks like, what they wanted to do is probably give him another day to kind of recover from the game because it was his first time playing. So you want to kind of let him make sure he recovers. And because he is an injury-prone player, you want to be very careful with all of this. Look, Fuller can play this game, and he can play it at an incredibly high level. And as I told all of you out there that, you complain and whine about him missing, he needs to play more than any of you out there. Forget about his salary this year. It's a nice salary for him, but it's not what he wants. And it's not much of a gamble for the Dolphins because if they get what they need from him, then it'll be more than worth it. But in the end, that guy needs to play the year because he wants a big-ass contract from somebody. And this is his last chance to get that big-ass contract. If he has to play another year of a one-year deal, he'll never get that contract because that's it. He's getting too close to 30. And they just don't give you as a receiver a big-time contract at 30 years old. So he needs to play more than any of you could ever imagine because he wants that big, fat signing bonus because he knows that that's the last contract that then he can, take care of the rest of his life and his family and things like that. Oh, that's why I told you got to be patient on all this. Everything we've got to be, as frustrating as it all is, we have to have some patience. If you don't, you're going to underestimate a lot of things in life. Because not everything happens, right off the bat. Fuller has a ton of potential, but we can't take advantage of it while our O-line is giving our QB 2 seconds to throw the ball. You're right. Let's see. Oh, how many of these Pringle potato chip wideouts would you bring back next season? Seems like we're going to need to look for 3 to 4 new guys. Well, I mean, Devontae Parker is Devontae Parker, but Waddle is your future. Everything else, everything else is interchangeable. Put it that way. Now, Preston Williams, let's see, once he is able to play every week, let's see what happens. And if he can stay healthy, then maybe the first 2 years were more of an aberration. See, the thing with Preston is he wasn't an injury-prone player in college. So he doesn't really have a long history of injuries. Maybe he's just had 2 terrible years where he had some bad breaks, and maybe he can move on from that now from here on out. And maybe he's a guy you can build on to the future. But Waddle right now is the guy that you're building, to the future. Will Fuller was like a smart gamble this year because you weren't going to pick up, a stud receiver. So you might as well try to get a guy that can definitely make some big time plays for you if he stays healthy. And he has more motivation than anybody else to try to stay healthy this year. Oh, you're right. I like it the way they're handling injuries. Do you remember under the Philbin Gase years, they were demolished by injuries? Yeah, exactly. Parker is coming back. Parker has been playing. Parker played last week. He's been playing. Parker hasn't missed any time this year so far. Parker's been in the lineup constantly. Now, whether you use him or not, you know what I mean? Well, we'll see. We'll see. But it's good news to have Fuller back. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Do I have anything else? Michael Dieter not seen on the Dolphins practice field right now, according to David Furonis is reporting that. Dieter not viewing period of practice was limited yesterday with a foot quad injury. So Dieter not there. Will Fuller's back at practice. Trying to see if there's anything new that you guys need to see from the writers. And right now, those are the 2 storylines, ladies and gentlemen, coming through. Dieter not at practice with the calf injury and the foot injury. And Will Fuller is back. Well, let's hope Dieter can play. Because he hasn't been necessarily a major problem. He hasn't been perfect. He hasn't been great, but he hasn't been terrible, actually. He's making a transition to center. And who knows, maybe they found their center of the future. Hopefully he can get better from that position. I am hopeful of that right now for him. And he hasn't been, too bad. Big O, how the flack do you speak 5 hours a day every day? You got to have body doubles to do this. I don't do 5 hours every day. We do 3 hours, 3.5. I know I went to 4 yesterday. No, we did a little over 4 yesterday. But you got to remember that an hour was yesterday, an hour was inside the paint. So it's not really me. No, I mean, it's not easy what I do, and I appreciate you noticing that because, like, I'm not doing regular radio where they have 25, 27 minutes of breaks. You know, they get to do that kind of stuff, so you really don't talk a lot, you know? So, yeah. But it also listen, it also helps that all of you are on the text line, sending in texts. You're on the YouTube chat board. You're sending in tweets. That also helps too because you have your questions, your comments, your insults, all kinds of good stuff to kind of keep it going. Maybe you want to be foolish and try to control the show and tell me what to talk about and what not to talk about. You know what I mean? But it's all right. Every once in a while, somebody does that. And then every once in a while, I've got to kind of, go out of my way to explain, don't tell me what to talk about because you're not going to control it. You're never going to control it. And by the way, I wasn't going to ask Michelle, a Miami FC player got arrested. Somebody brought it up about, hey, didn't a Miami FC player? But Michelle's not covering the Miami FC. She covers Inter Miami, which is the MLS team. Miami FC is a team in another league, not the MLS. And for those of you that don't know, a Miami FC soccer player has been arrested for allegedly raping a woman. Jashawn Anglin, 20, was arrested for sexual battery, appeared before a judge on Wednesday. According to the arrest report, he is accused of assaulting a victim in a room on Tuesday after she refused to have sex with him. His bond is set at $10,000. He was also ordered to stay away from the victim. So those are, I don't know too much about it at all. So I don't necessarily, I've watched a little Miami FC this year on video, but I haven't gone to any kind of games or anything like that. So I don't know anything about that situation, but not a good one. That's for damn sure. Honestly, if you were to say to me 5 years ago that Stills Landry Parker, that Parker will be the last one standing, I would have said, hell no. Dude, who could disagree with you on that? We're kind of surprised. And let me tell you something. I have grown to admire Devontae Parker. I have. I know that he's a disappointment, that he'll never live up to the number 11 overall pick and what we expected of him, especially me. I get all of that part has that ship is gone and it's done. But he easily could have quit football after 7,000 injuries. And he's fought through all those injuries. And to his credit, in the last 2 years, he has also fought through injuries to stay on the field. And I give him a lot of credit for that. And he's still, you know how gifted he is that he can still be a good receiver for you. He'll never be a great receiver, which he had the potential, obviously, because the good Lord blessed him with that potential. Sadly, his body betrayed him, which, by the way, we all would break down in the NFL. There's no way we stay healthy either in the NFL, okay? Let's just be honest. It's normal to break down. What is freakish is the guys that don't break down in the NFL and somehow line up every week. Those dudes are special. Those are the people that are amazing. It's normal human beings like you, me, and Devontae Parker would be breaking down left and right at the NFL level. But I have gone to the point where I admire Devontae for what he has shown me incredible mental toughness that a lot of guys have said, you know what, enough's enough, dude. My body just can't take it anymore. And somehow or another, he has fought through all the rehabs and he stays in there and he figures out a way to stay on the field to help his team. So I've kind of come full circle. I get it. The failed pick. I get it. He'll never live up to all of that. But at the same time, I've admired him now for fighting through all of that. And he's had some good moments where he's helped the team. And I hope he still has some good moments left in him this year to help out this team. Rich says, I think Parker balls out this week. He's due. I hope so. I have Parker's throwback jersey. You mean you got a Dolphins throwback jersey that has Parker's number on it? But none of these guys are old enough for any throwback. I think that's what you mean by, but I got you. But I have learned to admire him. I will say, hey, by the way, before I go, Mark Hoppus, congratulations to you, sir, the bassist and co-singer of Blink 182. I say this because he is cancer-free. He got struck by cancer, and I think they had to even cancel a tour that they were about to go on. And Mark, unfortunately, had to fight cancer, and he has fought cancer. And apparently he still has to get his checkups every 6 months, like every other cancer patient in the world that has had to fight cancer and, win. And kudos to him. He rung the bell. He's now cancer-free, and I read that story. And life is so short, man. And we have to appreciate every day that we're here because we don't know when our last day is. And, when I see what happened to Richie Faulkner, guitarist for Judas Priest, who's a young dude and had major heart surgery, and I pray for a speedy recovery for Richie Faulkner, because he is, I tell you, of the modern day rockers in today's world, he's one of my favorite guitarists to watch on stage. The guy's an absolute freaking stud, and I wish him a speedy recovery. And, I like Blink 182's music, and you never want to hear anybody get cancer. And we all pray for everybody that ends up having to deal with that damn thing, that they can beat it. So to hear that Hoppus is cancer-free, man, ring that bell. I hope he's ringing that bell for the rest of his life. And for those of you that don't know, cancer patients usually on their floor when they're fighting the cancer, when they have won that battle and they're cancer-free, they get to ring a bell. And it's kind of a thing that you send out to the other cancer patients on that floor who are fighting that same fight. So great for Mark Hoppus, man. I'd be remiss if I did not mention that as a music guy. Big O, are you going to check out Three Doors Down when they come down here? Alex, I've seen Three Doors Down about 3 times actually now that I think about it, and they are excellent in concert. They're really fun. I enjoy it. I doubt I'll go. I think I've seen them enough, so I doubt I will go, but I have seen Three Doors Down several times and really enjoy their music. So I would tell you, if you have not gone to see a Three Doors Down concert, I suggest you do that. If you like their music, they are terrific live. They're very, very patriotic, by the way, as they have a lot of respect for our military. So you will also see a lot of love for our military in a Three Doors Down concert, just in case if you haven't been to one. So there you go. All right, we are out of here. We thank Kobe Price for joining us, Joe Shad, and Michelle Kaufman. Excellent guest. If you missed them, they will all be podcasted. You can also rewind there on YouTube. Remember, send us a text whenever you're listening to the podcast at any time, day or night, 855-912-1056. Smash the like button on your way out. If you're listening to the podcast, smash the like button, please. And of course, if you can make a donation to help us grow, Cash App or Venmo, Cash Big O Show is the address. That's Cash Big O Show. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the address. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a great one.
Enjoy Miami in speed and style. Only on Thriller Miami Speedboat Adventures. Take advantage of special September Florida residence rate. Monday through Friday, you can book a tour on the biggest, baddest speedboat tour at 50% off. Must show Florida ID in order to get the discount. Tour special only available during September. Call 305-373-7001. That's 305-373-7001 to reserve your tickets on Thriller Miami Speedboat Adventures.